Hello everyone, Data here, and welcome to the finale, episode number 40 of our franchise mode series with the New York Islanders here on NHL 25. Today, to wrap up our series with the Isles, which has spanned 15 seasons so far, we will be simulating all the way to the end of franchise mode, which is year number 25, to see through many of the storylines that we have built, as well as how successful this franchise can be once we transition from general manager to now work from behind the scenes as president of hockey ops. I'll still have my hand on some major decisions like broken contract negotiations, but for the most part, when it comes to things like drafting and lineups, we will now allow the AI to take over as we simulate through what the results may be. In the past, I've turned off injuries and managed the lineups myself as president of hockey ops, but to truly get a look at how the team will run with us in the background, every season will be best lines with injuries at the same level as they've always been. That may cause huge problems, but hey, we'll find out. Now, our series here on Long Island had two goals. Short term, win a cup with as many of the day one originals as possible. I believe that we achieved that goal by winning our first cup with the Isles in year number 5, which ended a 46-year drought and made Stanley Cup champions out of about half of our day one originals, such as Bo Horvat, Matty Barzal, Kyle Palmieri, Ryan Pulock, Ilya Sorokin, and others. Long term, our goal in this series has been to return the Islanders to the level of dominance that they enjoyed in the 1980s, of course winning the four-peat. As you can see on my trusty Excel sheet here, after 15 seasons at the helm of the Islanders, we took 2 years to find ourselves before making 13 consecutive postseason appearances, winning 10 division titles, 8 conference titles, and 6 President's Trophies in the regular season, as well as making 9 Eastern Conference Finals and 7 Stanley Cup Finals in the postseason, winning 4 championships along the way. So I would say that the GM data impact has certainly been a positive one. Within those championships have been incredible performances and storylines, so much fun that I wish I could go through in more detail here, but recapping the last 39 episodes would take a couple of hours all on its own, unfortunately. Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Igor Loktionov, and many other players have all solidified themselves as channel legends, and the purpose of this video will be to see how the rest of the careers of players like Cole Eiserman, Porter Martone, and Landon Zupon play out as we hope for a few more cups. Feel free to use the timestamps down below to navigate the years, and be sure to check out the very end of the video for the all-time stats, awards, records, and so on. Leave a comment to let us know what your favorite moment of the Islanders series was, as well as all of your nominees from this series for our channel Hall of Fame. More on that coming soon. And finally, please leave your suggestion for which team we should take over next, as NHL 26 is now just a few weeks away. The 3 teams with the most suggestions will be put into a poll, and the winner of that poll will be where we go next. So, without further ado, let's get started by picking up where episode number 39 left off. Leave a like if you haven't already, and let's get this party started. In the last one, it was a year 14 and 15 double-header live stream, as I had to finish up pretty quickly with my wedding and everything coming up, but now the wedding's gone by. It was a fantastic day, beautiful ceremony. Thank you for everyone sending all the kind wishes. A fantastic honeymoon, and now I'm back with Lieutenant Desor and ready to get back to work. In that finale, in year number 15, we swept through the Bruins in round 1. We swept through the Rangers in the Battle of New York in round 2 before having a very difficult 7-game series against the Red Wings, and then a 7-game series against the St. Louis Blues, who we took down, of course, to win our 4th Stanley Cup in our 7th Stanley Cup final here in year number 15 for the 2039 postseason. In that postseason, Porter Martone won the Conn Smythe Trophy, leading the team with 22 points in 22 games. 32 years of age, he is now a 4-time Stanley Cup champion, winning all 4 of the cups with us so far here on Long Island, winning his first Conn Smythe, but now in need of a contract as well, so that's going to be one of the major things moving into the 2039 offseason. Cole Eiserman, 21 and 21, Macklin Celebrini, who took the mantle from Bo Horvat a few years ago, a huge surprise from Dimitri Kasparaitis, who I think was an 83 overall, he's grown to an 85, 10 goals to lead the team in goal scoring there, 18 points in 22 games. Sorovi, who we picked up from the Capitals, who was an RFA who was festering away, I think 3 seasons ago. Ulf Gunnarsson, who we got this past offseason, signed, I think, to a 4-year deal. Yeah, 4-year deal. His first season with us, boom, Stanley Cup champion. Zupon, Jiricek, he might have to leave this offseason, expiring contract. He's going to be wanting a lot of money. It's going to get really tough through the contract negotiations. We can't have too much loyalty when it gets into the year 16 to 25 simulation, because the game is just impossible to navigate if you're trying to hang on to everyone. We'll keep as as many legends as we can, but for players who we like let's say a Peacock or a Korobov, whatever, it's going to be tough to hang on to them. So Yurchek, we might have to say goodbye to him this offseason. Peacock, Korobov, Sivre, down the list for everybody. Boris Brylin ended up being a bit of a bust, unfortunately. Our 9th overall pick in 2032, medium lead and everything. He's now 81 at 25. Might be time to move on from him as well, sadly. And for the goaltending, it was Jesper Akerman, who has been setting records through his first... How many seasons has he played now? 5 seasons. So in 5 years, Akerman has won a Stanley Cup, 4 Jennings, and 2 Vezinas. So I'm more than happy to pay him the $9.75 million that he wants, as long as he continues to simulate like that. So we'll keep him into the, hopefully, far future. Backed up by Palin, who has medium potential. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, that's how things are looking moving into the offseason of 2039. Now it's going to be auto-drafting and just myself taking care of negotiations. I'm not going to be doing heavy things like going into the offseason focuses and the player conversations. So at the start of every season, I'll recap some major moves. I'll show you the lineup, and then we'll go into the stats of that season before, of course, as I mentioned, the big recap all the way at the end of this video. Use the timestamps. I'll try to keep it as concise as possible. Like I said, leave a like if you haven't already. It's a ton of work. I love doing it. I love keeping track of the stats. I hope that you do as well. So sit back, relax, enjoy the next 10 seasons. Let's cross our fingers for a few more Stanley Cups. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Year number 16, the 2039-40 season, our first as president of Hockey Ops. Let's get it rolling. First line, Yzerman, Celebrini, and Martone as always. Martone signed a 4-year extension in the offseason, paying him $11.5 million per year. So great to have the reigning Conn Smythe Trophy winner on board. Second line, Sorovi at an 88. Kasparis is an 85. He's on an expiring contract, but I think with the way he's been performing, we're ready to commit to him as our longer-term second line guy. Breland was a bust. He never ended up being our second line guy. We traded him in the offseason. Kasparis looks like he's that guy. So he'll get a chance once again, like last year, to be full-time second line center. Now, last year we had Ulf Gunnarsson here in the top 6. We signed him to bring goal scoring at $10.5 million. We could have afforded him, but now that Santiago Chung has grown to an 87 overall, our second round pick back in 2032, he's moving into his 3rd full NHL season. Gunnarsson just became expendable, and we use that $10.5 million elsewhere. So Chung, we have him on a cheese kind of contract, 8x4. We signed it on the live stream last episode with the AGMs. Because the defensemen at 81 overall are making like $7 million, it allows us to have a little bit of leeway with the cheese of a guy like Chung making 8x4. It's unfortunately just what you got to do in franchise mode. Not what I prefer to do, but that's just what the long-term sim ends up being. So Chung, Kasparis, Sorovi on the second line. Now on the third line, that allows some guys who are playing on the fourth line to actually now get full-time third line minutes. A guy like Bulbrook, who put up 30-plus points on the fourth line, now gets full-time third line minutes. Along with Peacock as third line center and Herdina on the third line. They're all there getting the +1. Fourth line guy Ortiz, he's a rookie, former first-round pick of the Sabres, centered by Clinton Spencer, our former first-round pick, who's a fourth-line grinder. And this guy who I found in free agency, Stéphane Labrie, who was 216th overall pick in 2032. He has 90 shooting accuracies. Hey, let's throw him in there, see what happens. On defense, Dupont and yes, David Yurchek. With Gunnarsson moving out, we were able to afford a 1-year deal on Yurchek to extend him 1 more year at $8.55 million. So awesome to see him there. He's now 35. Dupont, he's 30. He's been playing his whole career with Yurchek. The captain is able to keep his buddy. That's great. Second pair, Douglas Korobov. Third pair, Rintoul and Ritu. Goaltending, of course, still Akerman. He's now backed up by this guy, Mitchell Clem. What's his name? Palin wanted a long-term deal. And in the AHL, we have Niemi coming up soon with high elite potential. So I just needed a 1-year band-aid. So a guy like Clem is going to be able to do that. He signed on to a 1-year deal. We made a trade, and that ended up working out just fine. 13th forward, 7th D, ready to go. Here we have it. So let's do it. Year number 16, reigning Stanley Cup champions. First year in the President of Hockey Ops era. Let's run it. Ooh, huge success in year number 16 as we win another President's Trophy with 122 points, sitting atop the NHL with 9 more wins than any other team. 58, 18, and 6 was our record with a power play percentage of just 16%. This is where the big difference comes in with the best lines versus the lines that we create. So it's not a horrible percentage, but I think we had like over 10 years of 20+% on the power play. So 16 is definitely a drop comparatively. Penalty kill, however, at 89.5, tied for the league lead. And actually now the highest that we've ever had in the franchise mode so far. Point production was fantastic as Macklin Celebrini scored 35 goals and 107 points to lead the team in scoring, a new career high from him in now his, sixth season as an Islander? Yeah, just awesome to see. He was good in San Jose, but never more than 75, 76 points. Now this is his third 100-plus point season as an Isle. Cole Eiersman, 54 goals and 94 points right behind him. Martone, 82 and 77. Sorovi, 73. Kasparaitis, 33 goals and 69 points. Yes, 300 shots as well from the second-line center. Zupon, 56. Chung, 54. Peacock is third-line center, 23 goals and 48 points. Bulbrook, 46. Herdina. Spencer, 36 points as fourth-line center grinder. Playing, I guess, yeah, he has higher ice time with Ponykin and all that, but I guess, actually, he even had power play time. The game gave him that. All right. Ortiz, Yurchek, Rintoul, Labrie down on the fourth line, Korobov, Ritu, Douglas, Bukestad. We had some injury fill-ins, of course, along the way. And for goaltending, Ackerman goes 44, 15, and 5, 7 shutouts, a .913 save percentage, and 2.46 goals against average. I don't think we've had a goalie be this high in overall and so consistent performance-wise since Peyton Hollywood-Wilm in our Seattle series. We've had great goalies, but usually ones that are low overall. To be high overall and consistently performing year after year, that is rare to find, and we're loving it in Ackerman right now, who's backed up by Clem, who went 14-3-1 with a shutout of his own. So we move into the postseason as reigning Stanley Cup champs. We've been to 3 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals. Let's see how the 2040 postseason shakes out. And by the way, Celebrini's 107 points were enough to lead the NHL, 10 points above anybody else. The only actually 100-plus point scorer in the entire league. So it goes to show how the scoring can get kind of wonky at times. Celebrini's first career Art Ross trophy. He's won the Hart, Selke, Calder, Stanley Cup, and now he can finally add the Art Ross to his titles. And shout out to Russ Simpson, former Islander, just an 84 overall, who goes out and scores 97 points to be tied for second in league scoring with a career high of 56 previously. So just throwing that out there. It was an exciting postseason in 2040 as it was indeed another run to the Eastern Conference Final. We took down the Hurricanes in Game 7 overtime of Round 1, then took down the Blue Jackets in 6 games in Round 2 before falling in 6 ourselves to the Red Wings, a rematch of the 2039 Eastern Conference Final, but then the Red Wings fell to the Blackhawks in 6 in the Stanley Cup Final. So we can't win the Stanley Cup every year, but it was our 10th appearance in the Eastern Conference Final in the last 16 years, our 4th consecutively. We are consistently a top 4 team in the NHL. Macklin Celebrini leading by example, 24 points in 19 games from the Art Ross Trophy winner. Yzerman was point per game, led the team in goals as well with 9 in 19. Martone 16 in 17, he was injured for a couple games. Sorovi, Kasparaitis, Chung, Zupon, down the list for all the other point scorers here for you if you're curious. And for the goaltending, Ackerman went 10, 6, and 3 with a shutout, 915 save percentage, 2.59 goals against average, not his fault. And finally, for the awards, of course, President's Trophy, there you have it. Individual awards, Celebrini won the Art Ross, his second career Hart. Love to see that. Any other awards for us here on Long Island? Yes, another Vezina for Ackerman, another Jennings as well. Oh my goodness. And Celebrini also wins the Ted Lindsay. Great year for hardware in year number 16. Hopefully this is the sign of much more to come moving into year number 17 ahead. And finally, a shout out in the offseason for Oliver Kapanen, who retired after 14 seasons in the NHL, parts of 9 spent as an Islander, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion with us. Enjoy your retirement. Looking at a deal here in the draft, moving 3 very good prospects, top 6 forward and 2 top 4Ds, plus a second to the Flyers. They want to move the 4th overall pick, and there's a defenseman that I would like to draft there. These are all good prospects. I'm not trying to cheese anything, quite close to fair value. All right, straight up, trade accepted. All right, thank you, Philadelphia. So we traded 3 of our better prospects, 1 forward and 2 defensemen. Not every day do you see a top 5 pick on the block, plus our scouts are terrible now because we're not doing any more scouting. Rafael Nicholas, who the scouts have maybe at 2, central scouting at 3. He dropped to 4, hoping that he's an offensive defenseman. Rafael, let's see what we got here for the 4th overall pick, 77 overall, medium elite offensive defenseman. That's what you need in franchise mode. There's barely any that get generated. So it cost us 3 good prospects and 2 second-round picks. They wanted to move the pick. I think that's a fair trade when you consider those are actually good prospects, not just random trade value chump change. So there's a guy added to our system. We'll see when he makes it. Big pick there at 4th overall here in 2040. I should have mentioned as well in the draft, I'm making all first-round picks, and aside from that, it's all just the AI making selections after that. Year number 17, we're running back almost the exact same team for 2040-41, but the core is continuing to age. Yzerman, Celebrini, Martone all on the top line, yes, but 34, 34, and 33 years of age respectively. Who's coming up in the system to replace them? That's going to be the issue. Sorovi, Kasparaitis, and Chung on the second line, 87, 85, and 88 respectively. Bulbrook, Peacock, Hrdina the third, Ortiz, Spencer, Labrie on the fourth. Defensively, we're going to try a new top pair this year. We had enough money to keep David Jiricek. That's awesome. One more year at $7.5 million. But I'm going to try moving him into a reduced role, now at the age of 36 with top 6 deep potential. Let's see how Ken Douglas looks on the top pair with Landon Dupont, which would hopefully be our top pair of the next few more seasons. So Douglas Dupont top pair. Korobov and Ritu will be the second pair. Remember, he was a second-round pick of ours back in 2035, and Douglas, by the way, a second-round pick in 2033. And then the third pair will be Rintoul with Jiricek, who's still here, still a leader, and still going to be able to help out in different ways. Goaltending, of course, Ackerman with the now 5, right? Is it? Yes, 5 Jennings, 3 Vezinas. Only 1 Stanley Cup, though, the 87 overall, backed up now by Samu Niemi with high lead potential, our third-round pick in 2036. Could he be our future starter? Or will Ackerman continue to show, no, this is my crease and I'm not leaving? 2040-41, let's do it. Quick trade here around the halfway point. Things are going well, but looking towards next season. Hrdina is on an expiring deal and wants $6+ million. We're not going to be able to afford that for an 83 overall. His performances haven't been crazy over the last few years. He's been good, 164 points in 361 games, but for a third liner, we can't afford to pay him $6+ million. So the name of the game now later in franchise mode is just finding players who are signed on to affordable term. This guy's Salcido, 3 years at 2.145, 81 at 23 with medium top 6 potential. Let's do it. Hrdina and a third, a little bit more value. Let's try Hrdina and a 6th for Salcido. Welcome to Long Island. Let's keep on simulating. It's another 58-win season and another President's Trophy here on Long Island as the Islanders finish atop the NHL with a 58-21-3 record. Power play, even less than last year at 15.7%, and penalty kill less as well, 85.5, but still quite high. Macklin Celebrini cannot be stopped. 40 goals, a new career high, and 109 points from the 34-year-old. Let's celebrate Celebrini. Yzerman 1 goal shy of 50. He missed a couple games in the year, 49 goals and 93 points from him. Kasparaitis tied for third in team scoring, the 85 overall machine. 73 from him, 73 from Chung. 68 in 80 from Porter Martone. Bit of a step back this year. Now down to an 87 overall at 34 years of age. Sorovi 62. He's on an expiring deal. I wonder if we let him walk and we use the money elsewhere. We'll see. Dupont 60 captain continues to perform. Then it drops off from here. Salcido, since he became an Islander, 20 points in 49 games from him. Jiricek still able to put it up on the third pair D, playing just 1606 of ice time now at an 83 overall. Peacock 29, Bulbrook 28. Yeah, really the depth scoring was not there this year, but still a very successful season. This guy Devos, who was our 13th forward, 10 points in 12 games. And speaking of Kasparaitis, forgot to mention this at the start of the year. By the way, he is now on a 6-year extension, paying him $9 million per year with a no-move clause in the first 3 seasons. So that was the extension he signed in the offseason. Goaltending, Ackerman goes 42, 18-2 with 8 shutouts, a .914 save percentage, and 2.46 goals against average, while Niemi in his rookie season backing him up goes 16-3-1, 3 shutouts of his own, a .920 save percentage, and 2.37 goals against average. So incredible goaltending, good high-end scoring, players getting older, depth not quite there as much, but the postseason is another beast. Let's see what they got. And by the way, you guessed it, another Art Ross trophy for Macklin Celebrini. This year doing so with 13 more points than anybody else in the NHL. And for the goal scoring, Cole Yzerman, nobody hit 50 this season, but Yzerman led the league with 49 goals. So there's an Art Ross, there's a Rocket Richard, the first Rocket of Yzerman's career, and Dupont finished 4th in defenseman scoring, both a +40. It might be a James Norris for him. Bulbrook on a breakaway scores! Jermaine Bulbrook scores the Stanley Cup winning goal as the New York Islanders sweep the Chicago Blackhawks in 4 games to win the 2041 Stanley Cup, their 2nd in the last 3 years, and their 5th Stanley Cup of the GM/President Data era. 5 cups in our last, I believe, 13 years since our first one. 2 in the last 3 years. Bulbrook with the breakaway Stanley Cup winning goal. The Conn Smythe here in 2041 goes to Cole Eiserman, 11 goals and 25 points this postseason, winning his second career Conn Smythe. I'm sorry, I'm getting him mixed up with Brock Besser. That was Cole Eiserman's first career Conn Smythe. He has a lot of other hardware. He was just missing that. Landon Dupont raising the Stanley Cup for the first time as captain of the Islanders. A career Isle, now 31 years old. That is his 5th Stanley Cup and the first wearing the C on his chest. Landon Dupont, what an incredible moment for him. Let's go ahead and give it next to... Let's go to Celebrini. Celebrini, who's been leading this team in so many ways, not just statistically, ever since he got here with the A on his chest as well. Macklin Celebrini raising it next from Dupont. Next up, let's give it to Ackerman. Insane consistency. In round 1, I believe he allowed 2 goals in 4 games in round 1. Like, it was a couple shutouts and a couple of 1-goal games. It was crazy. And finally, probably for the last time, let's give it to David Jiricek. Jiricek, we had our differences when he first came here. There was a lot of issues to get him signed on long-term. His extension left a lot of sour tastes in our mouths, at the AGM mouths collectively. But he ended up being here for so long and being such an integral piece of that top defensive pair. If this is the end of David Jiricek's time as an Islander, he leaves with lots of happy fans behind him. Ladies and gentlemen, break out those screenshots, snap a picture. It'll last a lifetime. Stanley Cup champions once again here in 2041. Landon Dupont captain, Ackerman, Bolbrook, Celebrini, Chung, Devos, Douglas, Eiserman, Jiricek, Kasparaitis, Korbov, Labrie, Martone, Niemi, Ortiz, Peacock, Pecker, Rintoul, Ritu, Salcido, Spencer, and Sarovi. On our way to the Stanley Cup, we swept the Flyers in round 1, took down the Penguins in 5 in round 2. In the Eastern Conference Final, we were down 3-2 and won games 6 and 7, both in overtime against the Maple Leafs to make our way to the Stanley Cup Final, where we swept the Blackhawks. Which would also mean we had a 16-4 record this postseason, the best we've ever had on a cup run. A very well-deserved Conn Smythe trophy for the now 34-year-old Cole Eiserman, who was the first-round pick back in 2024. 11 goals and 25 points in 20 games. Look at the awards that he has won now. Just one of everything. Incredible. 5-time Stanley Cup champion. Celebrini with 23 and 20. Martone 21. He still got it. Kasparaitis 18. Same for Sarovi. Dupont 15. And my mistake, I believe it was Dupont's second Stanley Cup as captain. I forgot that the cup we won a couple of years ago, I don't think it was all alternates. I believe Dupont was captain, so my mistake. I made a couple of mistakes here. It's been a few weeks since I've been in the Islanders, so cut me some slack. Chung, Peacock, Spencer, Bolbrook, they're all the point totals down the list. At the Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Final point, when we were down, about to be eliminated, I put Jiricek back onto the top pair with Dupont, and then from there we won 6 games in a row, so a little bit of magic hopefully sprinkled in. Goaltending-wise, Ackerman 16-4 with 3 shutouts, a .920 save percentage, and 2.38 goals against average. The lore around him just keeps getting better and better. For the awards, of course, Stanley Cup champions, President's Trophy, Prince of Wales Trophy, Celebrini, back-to-back Art Ross trophies, back-to-back Hart trophies. Landon Dupont wins the James Norris for, I believe, the 3rd time in his career, so that's awesome to see from the captain. Conn Smythe Eiserman, another Jennings to Ackerman, not a Vezina, but another Jennings to Ackerman. Whoosh. Then also the Ted Lindsay to Celebrini in back-to-back years, and as we mentioned before, Eiserman, the Rocket Richard, which he won for the first time in his career this season. In the 2041 offseason, we're also saying a sad goodbye to David Jiricek. I'm glad we got him one more Stanley Cup. Now at the age of 37, he's leaving after 14 seasons as an Islander, a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, 1 James Norris, 1 back in 2036. I'd love to keep him. We have young defensemen coming up in the system, and we got to spend that money on the aging forward core. 710 points in his career, but 624 points through his 14 years as an Islander. In the postseason, as an Islander, 101 points in 255 games. And yeah, pretty much all of his success coming as an Islander. We got him out of Columbus. Also a plus 589 in his career up until this point. Hopefully a couple seasons left for David Jiricek, who we truly do wish all the best after we had some rockier moments at times, but he is a 7-time 50-plus point scorer as a defenseman, a rock on that top pair with Landon Dupont. We wish him all the best after 14 years as an Islander, potentially a Data 72 Hall of Fame nominee. We'll think about it. David, take care, and we look forward to how year 18 will look. Year number 18, and here we go, starting off with Cole Eisman, who at 35 years of age is back up to a 90 overall. Love to see that coming off of his Rocket Richard and Conn Smythe trophy. On the top line here with Celebrini, we got him to a 1-year extension, and Sarovi, who we will now try on the first line. We just signed him to a 6-year extension, paying him $10.3 million. He's been great. Martone down to an 86 now, so we'll give Sarovi a chance as the first line right wing. Maybe that chance goes to Chung. I don't know. We'll see what happens, because he's now up to an 89 overall, but a left winger. He has a bunch of X factors now as well. Chung, Kasparaitis, and Martone on the second line. Salcido, Peacock, Bulbrook the third, Ortiz, Spencer, Devos as the fourth. On defense, a couple of newbies here. Douglas and Zupon once again the top pair with a +3. Korobov alongside the rookie Rafael Nicholas, we drafted 4th overall a couple of years ago in 2040. We made that trade up with the Flyers. Now his chance to make his NHL debut. And on the third pair, Riley King, who the auto draft got at 94th overall in the 2040 draft. So thank you very much to the auto draft. 6'4", 20-year-old defensive defenseman. Only 1-star skating though, but Riley King will play third pair with another rookie, Pierre Boutin, who we drafted 30th overall in 2038. So 3 rookies on the blue line. Goaltending, Ackerman at an 87. Niemi has now jumped to an 89 overall. We have him signed on for 2 more years, including this one at just $1 million, so that's fantastic. But after that, we'll have to make a decision on who our starting goaltender will be. Ackerman has shown himself to be more than worthy of the starter's crease, but when we look into the long-term future in a couple of years from now, and Ackerman's going to be 31, I don't know. So it's going to be tough with the goalie rotate. I'm going to turn it off and have to do a little bit manually myself, but this is the team to roll into 2041-42 once again as reigning Cup champs. What a season this was, as somehow the New York Islanders win the President's Trophy in year number 18. We were below 500 after over 30 games played. We were 15, 16, and something. And somehow we end the season with a 53, 22, and 7 record, 113 points to win yet another President's Trophy, power play percentage of 18.8, and penalty kill of 85.3. And if you don't believe me, just check out this, starting at Vegas, 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, hold on, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 game win streak. 28 straight simulation victories. Are you kidding me? So that's definitely a new record for me. I made a ton of line changes after we were below 500 at that 30 game point. Made some changes in the top 6 and the defense and everything, and it ends with a 61 goal season for Cole Eisman. 98 points and 61 goals, a career high, right? Yes, his first 60-plus goal season at the age of 35. What are you doing, Cole Eisman? 88 points from Celebrini, 87 from Santiago Chung, who went up to the first line. Zupon, 75 points. Sarovi, 73. Kasparaitis, 66. Martone, now down to an 84 overall. Yes, 55 points. Peacock, 33 goals and 45 points as third-line center. Bulbrook, Salcido, Nicholas. At one point, after I think about 20 games, Salcido was leading the team in points. That's how bad things were going. Ortiz all the way down the list for everybody else. Where was Nicholas? It was 36 points in 77 games from the rookie defenseman. Now for the goaltending, Niemi snapped his hamstring and was out until about March. I didn't want to touch anything because of how well things were going, but before his injury, he was 20, 10, and 5, 1 shutout, 915 save percentage, 2.44 goals against. Ackerman took over the starting role once again once Niemi was out. He called up Menard. Ackerman went 26, 13, and 1 this year. 2 shutouts, 907 save percentage, 2.66 goals against average. And then Menard, we called him up 7, 3, and 1. 3 shutouts and 7 wins from Leonardo Menard. Okay, good to keep note of. Eisman also finished 3rd in league scoring and somehow second in goal scoring in the league. 49 goals wins the Rocket last year, but 61 not enough this year. Still an incredible career year from Cole. So still riding the high of that 28 game win streak that was. Let's hit the 2042 postseason. And in the 2042 postseason, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Islanders are once again Stanley Cup champions, eliminating the St. Louis Blues in a 7-game series. It was a crazy postseason that I'll talk about in a little bit when we look at the playoff tree, but it was a rematch from 3 years ago. We've now won 3 cups in 4 years, back-to-back cups for the first time in the GM data era, back-to-back cups for the first time since the dynasty of the 80s. Here we are in the 2040s. It's another Conn Smythe for Cole Eisman. 28 points from the 35-year-old, who has now won back-to-back Conn Smythe trophies at the best of his entire career. Regular season, postseason, everything is coming at the tail end of his career, and we love to see it. Our 6th cup in 14 years. Like I said, 3 of the last 4, back-to-back for the first time since the dynasty of the 80s. Lannon Zupone, this time in front of the home crowd, raises Lord Stanley above his head, once again as captain. A 6th cup for him and a bunch of the other players who have been here for so long now. Let's give it next to Santiago Chung. Let's see him. We've seen a lot of the other regulars. Let's see that afro from Santiago. Yes. He got those first-line minutes this season, from second line to first, up to an 89 overall now. Santiago, well-deserved. After that, let's see Ken Douglas. What a unit he has been for years now in that top 4. Detective Santiago gives it over to Ken Douglas on an expiring deal. Not sure if we can afford to bring him back next season, but we thank him for everything he's done in the top 4. A few cups to his name. Let's see another trooper down here now. Oleg Korobov, another mainstay of the top 4 of the last few years. Oleg, look at that. Look at that beard from Oleg Korobov. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't before, now's the time to do it. This is one you'll want to have up on the fridge. Break out the cameras, take a screenshot, and snap a picture. It'll last a lifetime. 2042 champs, Zupone captain, Ackerman, Boutin, Bulbrook, Celebrini, Chung, Devos, Douglas, Yzerman, Jokela, Kasparaitis, King, Korobov, Martone, Menard, Nicholas, Niemi, Ortiz, Peacock, Salcido, Spencer, Sarovi, and Valesi. What a postseason story it was. Round 1, we take down the Penguins in 5 games. Round 2, we almost get reverse swept by the Hurricanes, but thankfully win in 7 games against them. We then take down the Canadiens in 5 before being down 3 games to 1 against the Blues. We win 3 in a row, including a Game 7 shutout to capture the Stanley Cup in a 7-game series, just like we did against them 3 years ago. 4 point-per-game-plus players, led by Cole Yzerman, who won his 2nd Conn Smythe Trophy now in back-to-back years. 13 goals and 28 points in 24 games from him. Kasparaitis with 10 goals and 26 points. Let's go! Never higher than an 85, but keeps performing. Sarovi, 26. Celebrini, 24. Chung with 20. Nicholas, look at this from the rookie. Rafael Nicholas, 19 points in 24 games. Wow. Martone, 17. He's still got it. Another cup for Porter Martone, now a 6-time cup champion. Peacock had 16, Zupone 13 and 20, missed 4 games due to injury. Bulbrook, Salcido, Douglas, all the way down for everybody else. Before we look at the goaltenders here, Ackerman said, let me do it myself. Don't even need to look at Niemi. 16, 5, and 2 with 4 shutouts, a .914 save percentage, and 2.39 goals against average. 4 shutouts. Are you kidding me, Jesper Ackerman? At the start of the season, he went 0-5 to start the year. I said this is probably the start of the end for Ackerman. But no, he still scrapes together a solid enough season and gets himself yet another Stanley Cup. Now with 3 cups, 3 Vezinas, 7 Jennings. It's really tempting to stick with Niemi as the higher overall guy who's younger and everything, but he just keeps performing year after year. So, of course, Stanley Cup, President's Trophy, Prince of Wales, any other individual awards. Zupone wins another James Norris. Lady Byng to Celebrini, rare Lady Byng. Conn Smythe to Yzerman. Ackerman still gets the Jennings. He shares it with Niemi. No, the streak is not over. Another piece of hardware for Ackerman. I should have noticed that when we looked at his awards just a moment ago. But there you have it. Still some hardware for this team here on Long Island to move into the 2042 offseason. Definitely feel on cloud 9 after a season like that with a 28-game win streak, back-to-back cups, 3 out of 4. The dynasty continues. If I could quickly just have everyone rise or move their caps for a quick moment of silence. Igor Loktionov retires in the offseason. A random free agent pickup who ends up finishing with a 164, 70, and 12 record in his career. 21 shutouts, 913 save percentage, 2.65 goals against average. Never quite recaptured the Long Island Magic when we were forced to trade him to Boston. That's a whole other story, don't get me started. He did pretty well with the Bruins, then spent the last, 4 seasons in the AHL. That's disgraceful in and of itself. But Loktionov retires with a Stanley Cup, a Vezina, a Calder, a Jennings, all won with us, and easily one of my favorite and even the greatest franchise mode stories of channel history. To begin year number 19, we see a new first-line center here on Long Island, acquired in the 2042 offseason. Please welcome Jordan Downey from the Anaheim Ducks, 86 overall, medium elite, listed as a first-line forward at 23 years of age with 3 X factors. A sniper who was the 4th overall pick of Vegas back in 2037. A couple of years, it's actually 3 years in Vegas, 2 years in Anaheim. Last 3 seasons, hovering around a 60-ish point player. Hopefully now, as full-time first-line center of a Stanley Cup caliber team, he'll be able to unlock the potential that he had when he was drafted 4th overall. We made a big deal in the offseason, trading Samu Niemi the other way to Anaheim, the 89 overall high elite goaltender. Yes, it would have been great to have him into our future, but Ackerman has just been too good. It's not about the overall, it's not about the potential, it's about the performance, and Jesper Ackerman has been that guy. So Ackerman, even at an 86, will continue as our starter. He is signed on for 2 more seasons. We'll see what happens after that, backed up by Leonardo Menard, who was a 6th round pick of ours back in 2033. He saw some time last season and was pretty solid. So Yzerman, Downey, and Celebrini will move to the wing as an 84 overall, will be our first line. Again, 84 first line. Well, Celebrini continues putting up 100+ point seasons. He'll stay there until he shows us otherwise. Second line, Sorovi, Kasparaitis, and Chung, all with the X factors. Third line, Bulbrook, Peacock, and now Porter Martone at an 83 overall. He will be reduced to that third line role. And fourth line, Nielsen, Ortiz, and this guy, Bryce Pritchett, who we got from the Oilers a couple of years ago, former first-round pick. Defense, we're going to roll Dupont, Korbov. This is the defense we had last year once we went on the 28-game win streak. Douglas, Nicholas, now up to an 88 overall on the second pair. And King with this guy, Eugene Volk, also from Edmonton, on the third pair. Scratches 13th forward, 7th D, ready to go as back-to-back Cup champs, 3 of the last 4. Let's give Jordan Downey a nice introduction to Island life with a big push in 2042-43. Come on now, Jordan Downey, do you like life on the island? Another President's Trophy as we go for a franchise record 137 points and 66 wins season. Our previous record of 64. We have 15 more wins than any other team in the league. 66, 11, and 5 was our record this season, with a 19.7 power play percentage and 87.7 on the PK. The ageless wonder, Cole Goal Yzerman, 58 goals and 97 points from the 36-year-old, still a 90 overall. Celebrini, 89 in that wing position, no problem. Chung, 84 points despite only 1706 of ice time. Okay, we know he'll be a future first liner when Celebrini eventually does move off that top line. Sorovi, point per game, 82, love to see that, plus 55. Dupont, 67 points and a plus 79, are you kidding me? Kasparaitis, 35 goals and 67 points in 78 games. Martone, still 55 points as a third liner. Love that from the veteran. Peacock, 30 goals and 54 points. Lane Peacock, man. Not a random pickup, but we were like, okay, maybe this guy could be a centerman in our system. And boom, the guy has 145 goals as a third liner in 500 games. After that, okay, actually, I was like, well, hold on, where's Downey? The first line center of a 66-win team scored only 19 goals and 54 points. Oh, that's a bit odd. Playing 20-21 of ice time. I guess he's on the second power play unit or something. The AI messed that one up because if we were taking general, hands-on control, he definitely would have had the ice time to have the opportunities to succeed. But okay. Rafael Nicholas, 53 points, the defenseman. 46 from Hector Ortiz, playing 10-25 of ice time, 29 goals. All right, Sven Nilsson, under 9 minutes per night, 42 points from him, the fourth line center. Bulbrook, 40, Pritchett, 33 on the fourth line. Yeah, just a really high-octane offense year. Oleg Korbov, a plus 73 from the former third-round pick in 2031. What a career. Volk, King, Nilstorp, and Ackerman, we rolled with him. We gave him the trust. 54, 10, and 5, 6 shutouts, 925 save percentage, 2.07 goals against average. Is Jesper Ackerman the greatest long-term simulation goalie we have ever had in channel history? He's making a case. Menard goes 12-1, 1 shutout, 918 save percentage, 2.31 goals against average. Just keep on writing Ackerman's name on the Jennings, just year in, year out. Just may as well put it till 2050 at this point. Oh my goodness, what a year. Yzerman once again just shy of another rocket, 1 goal away from tying for the league lead. Great seasons and a lot of hardware in this franchise mode series, but very often so close to that much more. No, and in the Stanley Cup final, I went too quick in the calendar, but hey, we're Stanley Cup champions in 2043! The three-peat has been achieved. 4 cups in 5 years. Could we get to the level of the 80s with a 4th in a row? We'll see next year. But the three-peat has been achieved. What a cup final. And we started off with a 6-game series against the Senators, 6 games against the Flyers, swept through the Maple Leafs, and then the Oilers, a 5-game series against them, including a Game 5 shutout victory. Ackerman loves clinching the Stanley Cup with a shutout win. I guess it's good for the length of the video. Sorry that I couldn't go in and see another one. Please do forgive me. But the three-peat is complete. Landon Dupont raised the Stanley Cup once again as captain. Now, that would have been on home ice. Yes, once again, love to see that too. And I didn't get a chance to look at it yet, so the Conn Smythe goes to Cole Eiserman for a 3rd consecutive year. Oh my goodness, let's break it all down. Another Stanley Cup on Long Island. Eiserman, 23 points in 21 games. Not big on the goal scoring. And you know what? Macklin Celebrini also injured for the entirety of the Stanley Cup final. 15 points in 16 games. We had to go without him, and we still got it done. Rafael Nicholas, 21 in 21 from the defenseman. Kasparaitis, also 21 in 21. Lane Peacock, 10 goals and 17 points, playing 13-11 per night. Chung, Bulbert, both with 16. Dupont 15, Ortiz, Downey with 13 and 21. Okay, yet another cup for Porter Martone. Now at what, a 7-time Stanley Cup champion. Srovey, Korbov, Pritchett, everyone down the list here. Ken Douglas, how many now for Ken Douglas? Ken Douglas now a 4-time Cup champion. Jasper Ackerman, bring it in, man. 16, 4 and 1. 3 shutouts, 926 save percentage, 2.11 goals against average. Menard saw a little bit of action facing 40 shots, allowing 2 goals. All right. And for the awards, 3 straight cups, 4 straight President's Trophies, another Prince of Wales, of course, individual awards. James Norris going to Dupont for a 3rd straight year. We said yes, the Conn Smythe to Eiserman, another Vezina for Jesper Ackerman, another Jennings as well. Why not? Any other awards for us this season? No. So another great year of hardware, a 3rd consecutive cup. Again, I'm so sorry. I miscounted the days in the calendar. I simmed through the Stanley Cup, the clinching game. But it's a 3rd consecutive cup, something else we can check off on our to-do list here in our 25 years on Long Island. Now the next question will be, can we match the dynasty of the 80s and make it 4 in a row? And a special shout out to David Yurchek, who retires in the offseason at the age of 39. After leaving Long Island, he spent 2 years in Vegas, made a few more $1 million, a few more memories as well, and he rides off into the sunset again as a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, 14 seasons as an Isle. James Norris in 2036. Congrats, David. And don't sit down just yet, as Trey Emperor Augustine also retires in the offseason. Oh, with a record of 383, 195, and 45. 38 shutouts, 910 save percentage, 2.76 goals against average in his career. A Data 782 Hall of Fame nominee lock, you would think. We saved him after 4 years or parts of 4 years of being buried in the AHL by the Sharks, who got him from Detroit. And from there, the rest was history. In 2028-29, not to go through the whole story again, but just to say, he was 4-0 in his 4 appearances, 922 save percentage, 2.25 goals against average. One of the biggest factors that got us our first Stanley Cup once we turned to him. After that, he was our starter pretty much all the way through. Playoffs were always, up and down. That's how it is in EA land. But in the regular season, so consistent. Look at these numbers. It wasn't always our starter. He was sometimes having to fight for those starts, and never even higher than an 83 overall. So again, another example of you just got to find someone who simulates consistently well enough. Trey, thank you for everything. Our dear Emperor, wishing you all the best in retirement. It's time for our 20th season with the Islanders, and it's hard not to run things back after a 66-win season. Eiserman, Downey, and Celebrini here on the top line. Celebrini back up to an 86. A lot of guys who needed contracts, like Celebrini down to top 9 potential, but another 1 year at $11.5 million. A lot of stuff off screen. Downey didn't have the greatest season, and you know what? Peacock needs a contract this offseason. He's a consistent 30-goal guy. I wonder if Kasparaitis and Peacock might be first and second line center, and we trade Downey for a better top 6 wing once Celebrini drops out. We'll see how Downey does with a second chance as first line center and decide after this year. Second line, Chung, Kasparaitis, and Sorovi. Third line, Sven Nilsson in a fourth line role last year, 42 points. Let's try him on the third line with Peacock and Bulbrook. Jermaine Bulbrook, what a guy. He's been here for a while now. Fourth line, Pritchett, who I would want on the third line with Ortiz, and Porter Martone down to an 80 overall now. He'll play a fourth line role in the last year of his contract, and we'll see what happens after this season. Defense the same, Dupont, Korobev with Douglas, Nicholas. Now Rafael Nicholas at a 90 overall. And third pair, Volk with King. Speaking of expiring contracts, Jesper Aikman back up to an 88 overall. Expiring deal. He's going to want to get paid, and I'm willing to pay him, but it might get pretty tough. Backed up by Menard once more. And here we go. Can we achieve the 4-peat? We don't need to put too much pressure on ourselves. The 3-peat is great. 4 out of 5 is amazing. But if we could match that Dynasty of the 80s here in the 2040s, that would be something. It was indeed another President's Trophy winning season, 5 consecutive now for the Islanders as we finish with 14 more wins than any other team, 136 points, tying our franchise record of 66 wins. 66-12-4 was the record this year, 4.6 goals for per game, power play at 19%, and penalty kill at 87.1. The point production was incredible this season, led by 37-year-old Cole Eiserman, who has his second best statistical season of his career, 107 points in 82 games from him. Celebrini, also at 37 years of age, puts up 105 points in 79 games, another 100-plus point season. Jordan Downey, yes, we gave him one more chance, and he ran with it. I'm really glad to see this. 43 goals and 92 points from our first-line center, even at an 85 overall, but this was the chance he was waiting for, and he ran with it. Finally, very well done. Landon Dupont, 81 points from the also now 34-year-old and a plus 64 on the year, but he ends the season with an MCL sprain. He's out for another month. If we want to see the captain in the postseason, it has to be a deep run. Kasparaitis, 80 points as second-line center. Sorovi, 78. Chung, 67. Rafael Nicholas, 62. He's on an expiring contract. That'll be an expensive one this offseason. Bulbrook in a third-line role. Love that. Peacock, 32 goals, 56 points in 72 games. He's ready for a top 6 role next season, you would think. We extended him for 3 years at about $7.5 million. Martone, even in a fourth-line role, had some power play time too, playing 10:47 per night, 79 overall. Still 52 points from the veteran. Porter Airlines still taking off. No flight delays, no strikes, nothing. Porter getting it done. Ortiz, 44, Pritchett, Korbov. A lot of injuries this season, as you can see by the games played, especially our extra guys like Nilstorp and Bieksa appearing in a lot of games. Then for the goaltending, speaking of injuries, Jesper Aikman was also out due to injury twice. 2 major injuries this season, including one and some upper body injury that has him out for another month still. So Menard is going to be our starter moving into the postseason. Aikman, however, in his 36 appearances goes, 32, 2-0 with 3 shutouts, a .920 save percentage, and 2.13 goals against average. So it should be another Jennings this season, but imagine if he had just been able to play some more games. I don't know if the game will give him the Vezina with only 36 appearances, but that definitely would have been another Vezina season from Ackerman. Oh my goodness. Menard, the 81 overall, had to appear a lot in relief. He went 29-7-3 with 4 shutouts, a .910 save percentage, and 2.63 goals against, while our third goalie is Ezra Seabrook, 6th round pick of the Blues in 2039. Okay. 6-3-1, 864, 3.9 goals. Okay. And once again, Cole Eiserman up there in the league scoring, but not at the very top as he finishes 3rd in the league and Celebrini 4th. Meanwhile, Dupont and Nicholas end 1 and 2 in defensive scoring, so it looks like another lock of a Norris Trophy for Landon Dupont. Headed into the 2044 postseason, will we be able to achieve the 4-peat that we've been thinking about all the way since the 80s? It's not going to be easy with Dupont and Ackerman both out for about a month, but let's see what this team can scrape together. And in the 2044 postseason, we do it! We achieve the 4-peat! The dynasty of the 80s has been recreated in the 2040s. From 1980 to 83, now from 2041 to 44. For the 3rd time in NHL history, a team has won 4 consecutive Stanley Cups as we take down the Anaheim Ducks in a 5-game series. Downey versus Niemi. Sorovi wins the Conn Smythe. Let's go. Peter Sorovi, 25 points. He wins his first Conn Smythe. It's not all for Eiserman. Check out that beard as well. Oh my goodness. Peter Sorovi, he was an RFA from the Capitals, left unsigned. We went after him, and I'm so glad we did. He has been a huge part of our top 6 for years now. 4 straight cups, 5 cups in 6 years. Landon Dupont back to raise it. We were fully healthy for the Eastern Conference Final, and we didn't look back from there. Landon Dupont on home ice in front of the fans for a 4th straight year raises Lord Stanley above his head. Celebrini, Eiserman both 37, Dupont 34. How long can these guys do it? I don't know. But with 5 cups in 6 years, you got to keep just running it back. Let's go ahead and give it to probably the man who's retiring or at least done after this season. After all his years of service, Porter Martone, with the A on his chest, drafted here on Long Island, now an 8th-time Stanley Cup champion. Let's give it next. You know what? Lane Peacock. There's a guy who's been a real trooper for us, too. I got to see him in that top 6 next season, but does that mean Celebrini out? I don't know. It's going to be hard to change anything about a team that just won 4 cups in a row and is trying to make NHL history be the first team that wins 5. And finally, you know what? Let's give it to Downey. Jordan Downey against his old team. The Niemi-Downey trade came to a head here in the 2044 Stanley Cup Final. Downey comes out victorious in the second year with his new team. We broke through Niemi. It was the right call. For a 4th straight year, ladies and gentlemen, break out those cameras and snap a picture. I promise it will still last a lifetime. Landon Dupont captain with Ackerman, Bieksa, Bulbrook, Celebrini, Chung, Douglas, Downey, Eisman, Kasparaitis, King, Korobov, Martone, Menard, Nicholas, Nilsson, Nilstorp, Ortiz, Peacock, Pritchett, Seabrook, Sarovi, and Volk. And you know what? Shout out to Horvat and Barzal, who are still on our coaching staff as well. They're collecting those rings like infinity gems. And despite a Stanley Cup final, the Ducks fire their head coach after the Cup final. Wow, that is rare to see. And here's the story that was in the postseason as we swept through the Panthers in round 1. Almost got reverse swept by the Devils in round 2, but thankfully won in game 7. Then by the beginning of the Eastern Conference final, Dupont and Ackerman were both fully healthy. We swept through the Sabres, including a game 1 shutout from Ackerman in his first game back, and then a 5-game victory against the Ducks, where they beat us in game 1, I think 7-2. Then we won 4 in a row after that. So Ackerman goes 8-1 after returning. Ooh, you know what? Eisman may have been robbed of the Conn Smythe here, as the 37-year-old leads the team in goals and points with 13 goals and 28 points in 20 games, but Sarovi, 3 less points, plus 7 more, 1 more game winner. Not a horrible choice. Just Eisman thinking, I could have gotten my 4th in a row. But Sarovi gets it with 25 points. Chung also had 25 points. Downey 22, Kasparaitis 21, and Celebrini 20, so that's 6 point-per-game plus players. Bulbrook, Nicholas, Peacock, Martone. You see, like Dupont, he had 9 points in 14 games once he returned. He came back a little bit earlier than Ackerman. And then for the goaltending, Ackerman, once he came back, 8-1 with a shutout, 914 save percentage, 2.57 goals against. Menard, when he had to go through rounds 1 and 2, 8-2-1, 909 save percentage, 2.5 goals against average. So he definitely held down the fort. And finally for the awards, yes, Stanley Cup, President's Trophy, Prince of Wales Trophy. Any individual awards? Yes, of course, Landon Dupont winning his 4th straight James Norris Trophy and the 6th of his career. Gotta see the goaltenders here as well. Conn Smythe's trophy, yes. Vezina goes to Krevchenko. Ackerman could have had it, but the Jennings goes to Menard and to Ackerman. Menard, I guess the name there since he played more games, but Ackerman still keeps up his streak of getting some hardware, I think now every season of his career. And that does it for the hardware this season. So probably still a little more to say. Probably a goodbye to Porter Martone to come this offseason too. Wow, and in the offseason, Macklin Celebrini calls it a career. After his 4th straight cup, he says, I'm ready to go. That does help us free up space cap-wise and lineup-wise in the top 6, but Macklin Celebrini, still at an 85 overall, calls it a career after 5 cups, 3 Hearts, 2 Ted Lindsays, 2 Art Ross trophies, a Selke, the Lady Byng, and of course the Calder in his rookie season. What a career for Macklin Celebrini as he goes out with 571 goals and 1,064 assists for 1,635 points in 1,626 games. The first overall pick in 2024 from the San Jose Sharks. He was doing well in San Jose, but we definitely gave him a chance to show what he could have done in his career after never scoring more than 76 points. As an Islander, let me calculate this. In 10 seasons as an Islander, Celebrini played 817 games, scoring 293 goals and 684 assists for 977 points in those 817 games. In the playoffs in his career, 100 goals, 156 assists for 256 points in 260 games. But as an Islander, in his 10 seasons on Long Island, 177 games played, scoring 64 goals and 123 points, 123 assists assists for a total of 187 points. As a Shark, I believe it was only the Calder Trophy. So as an Isle, those 5 cups, 3 Hearts, 2 Ted Lindsays, 2 Art Ross, the Selke, and the Lady Byng. What a career for Macklin Celebrini, who took over the reins from Bo Horvat. Who will take over from him now? That's what we'll have to find out. Too bad that he can't be around for that run at a 5th consecutive cup. But Celebrini has etched himself in the history of this franchise. I would say a Data 72 Hall of Fame nominee. That's going to be up to you in the comments. But Macklin Celebrini has left his mark on this franchise's history, and we thank him for his service and congratulate him for all of his achievements. Year number 21, going for a 5th consecutive Stanley Cup. We've made it this far. Let's make NHL history. No more Macklin Celebrini, so that means Cole Eiserman finally gets the alternate captaincy that he's been waiting for at 38 years of age. Still a 90 overall, and I believe about 60 or so goals away from Wayne Gretzky's 894. We'll see what happens with him this season. Downey, first line center, now up to an 88 overall. Awesome to see with Sarovi on that first line. Second line, Bulbrook finally seeing top 6 minutes. He's listed as a first line forward, so he'll get to see first line, but Bulbrook needs a contract. I believe also Eiserman, Zupon, Nicholas, all going to need contracts after this season, so it's going to be a tough offseason ahead, but let's worry about that after we get a 5th cup. Kasparaitis and Chung also on the second line. Pritchett, Peacock, and Martone back for one more season. Could be the last one. We scraped out a $4.25 million deal. Could it be his last? We'll find out. He scored over 50 points as a 4th liner last year. Peacock, I wanted him in the top 6 instead of Bulbrook, but we needed a 3rd line center, so Peacock will stay 3rd line center. Rodin, Nilstorp, Zinger as the 4th liners. Defense, Zupon, Korobov, Douglas, Nicholas, King, Bieksa, and goaltending, Ackerman backed up by Menard. Ackerman's season last year cut short due to injury. It should have been a Vezina year, but could it be an 11th consecutive season of either one of the Vezina or the Jennings? We'll find out as we push for our 5th Stanley Cup in a row for 2044-45. The one streak that does come to an end is the President's Trophy run. After 5 consecutive years of finishing atop the NHL, we finally finished 2nd. Okay, we can still take a 55, 18, and 9 season, still winning a 6th consecutive Eastern Conference title as well. Okay, we'll survive. 16.2% on the power play and 84.3 in the PK. Not the greatest special teams season. Of course, in the points, we were led by who else but Cole Eiserman, who at 38 years of age still scores 45 goals and 91 points to lead the team. Downey had 80, not as good as last year, but still very good from the first line centerman. Sarovi 75, Kasparaitis 72, Chung 71. Peacock, 3rd line center, 2nd in team goals and 65 points, 33 goals playing under 15 minutes per night. He's absolutely going to be a top 6 guy next year because Bulbrook is in his last season right now. We're not going to be able to afford like 9+ million that he wants to sign on. So Bulbrook in his last season puts up 64 points, a career high. We'll say goodbye to him in the offseason. Nicholas 64 leads the defenseman on the team in points for the first time, not Landon Zupon in many, many years. The now 35-year-old 88 overall scores 47 points and is a plus 44, which is very down according to his usual numbers, but still great. Pritchett 46 in a top 9 role. Zinger, the 4th liner, Alan Zinger, former 2nd round pick of ours. Okay, 35 points. Nilstorp, Martone puts up 33 and 75. I would think that now is really his last season. Rodin, also a former 1st round pick of ours, yes, on that 4th line down there. Then the rest of everybody else on the defense especially. Ackerman goes 47, 14, and 8 with 11 shutouts, a career high. 913 save percentage and 2.51 goals against average, while Menard backing him up goes 8-4 and 1 with a shutout of his own. 909 save percentage, 2.66 goals against. Jesper Ackerman, how do you do it? So this is it, ladies and gentlemen. 4 straight cups, 5 of the last 6. Can we do what no other team in NHL history has ever done and win a 5th consecutive Stanley Cup? Cross those fingers. Leave a like for good luck if you haven't already. I'm going to feel it in the past, and let's hit the postseason. Oh, man, but in the 2045 postseason, we take down the Sabres in round 1 in 5 games before losing ourselves in 5 games to the Carolina Hurricanes. We won game 1 and then lost 4 games in a row, failing to make it to at least the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in 9 years. So after 8 straight conference final appearances, we don't make it to the Final Four. The Hurricanes then go on to lose in 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals to the Anaheim Ducks, who made it back after losing to us last year. The point scoring just wasn't there, as Lane Peacock had 10 in 10. But aside from that, Downey 8, Kasparaitis, Chung, Bulbrook 7, Eiserman and Sarovi both with 5. We had Pritchett Kasparaitis and Downey all scoring 5 goals in 10 games, but the points in general just not enough. Ackerman 5-4-1 with a shutout, 903 save percentage, and 2.69 goals against average. Looking at the awards now, Landon Dupont, what? Wins the Norris Trophy. Hold on, we're going to double check how that happened. A 5th consecutive James Norris Trophy for Landon Dupont, the 7th of his career. We haven't seen consecutive numbers like that since Cale Makar in the NHL 20 Ducks series. If you know, you know. Data 72 Hall of Famer. So Landon Dupont with 5 consecutive now. Anybody else? Yes, Jennings for Ackerman, who's still up there. Niemi, the one we traded, of course, wins the Vezina in Anaheim. But Ackerman wins the Jennings, and at least there's that plus the Norris. Yeah, Landon Dupont really won it due to the plus-minus. He was tied for 5th in the league amongst defensive scoring. Cripps, 62 points, but negative 17. So Dupont, 47 points, a plus 44, a 7th career Norris Trophy for him. And a special shout out to Riley Stepan, who called it a career in the offseason, our former 7th round pick in 2027. He put together a nice little career for himself, 203 NHL appearances. Of course, most famous for being the 71 overall who won us a cup in 2032, going 9-3-1 with a 933 save percentage and 1.97 goals against average. EA Sports. It's kind of a game. And also retiring in the offseason was our head coach, Byron Donovan. We've only had 2 head coaches through 21 years. Both he and our first head coach, Lee Tsogas, could both be Data 72 Hall of Fame nominees. It'll now be the next man up, and I believe that means Bo Horvat becoming associate coach, so some coaching changes will take place over the offseason. And also goodbye in the offseason to Jermaine Bulbrook, who ended up being a much bigger piece than I ever thought he would be when we drafted him in the 2nd round in 2033. 8 full seasons on Long Island as a full-timer, 651 games, 74 goals, and 346 points. Coming off of a career year, 64 points, but for some reason down to an 82 overall. We just can't afford the $9 million that he would want. In the postseason, 19 goals and 87 points in 154 games. And of course, a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, scoring that one cup-winning breakaway goal a few years ago. Jermaine, buddy, what a story. Thanks for being here, and all the best in your next endeavor. Year number 22, let's get started. Cole Yzerman still out here at 39 years of age as first line left wing at 88 overall. He's here with Downey and Sarovi. Second line, Peacock finally getting into the top 6 with Kasparaitis and Chung. Third line, Rodin, Hakana. Welcome back, Kimo Hakana, our 4th round pick in 2026. He only played 4 seasons with us. We couldn't afford him. He was in free agency. We needed a third line center. Welcome back, Kimo. And Bryce Pridgett on the third line with him there as well. Porter Martone, you know what? He's still out here. He wants a cheap enough contract, $1.15 million. At 76 overall, he will still be out here as a 4th liner. Edward Eichel, who was a former 1st round pick of the Predators, and of course, Jacques Bruyette, who we drafted in the 2041 1st round a little while back. Defense now, we see a big drop from Landon Dupont, who's down to an 83 overall. We still want to give him ice time, but no X factors, not slowing down, but the puck skills going down as well. We'll try him on the 2nd pair. Douglas, and now 1st pair, Rafael Nicholas on a huge $13.25 million contract. So he'll play top pair with Douglas. Dupont Korbov, the former 1st pair, will now be the 2nd pair. And 3rd pair, Esa Pillman, former pick of the Panthers, playing with Riley King. The chemistry is horrible with the new head coach, but we're going to run with it. And the goaltending, Ackerman, of course, at an 87, backed up by Menard, his good buddy, at an 81. So after that tough 2nd round exit last year, some changes to the top 6, top 4, new head coach. Let's see what happens. In 2045-46, the Islanders finished 4th in the NHL, failing to hit 50-plus wins for the first time in 9 years, and not winning the Metropolitan Division for the first time in 10 years. But still, we're happy with a 4th place finish in the league with a 49, 26, and 7 record. Power play at 19.5% and penalty kill at 84. Who else but Cole Yzerman with a 45-goal season and 97 points to lead the way, officially surpassing 900 career goals. We'll see where he is once his retirement comes and the all-time records and all that. Now down to an 86 overall, the overall that he was at for so long in the first 10 years of his career. Downey with 92, yes. Chung 76, we boosted him up to the 1st line after some early season struggles. Sarovi 74, Rafael Nicholas with 66 points and a plus 24 now from the 24-year-old. Pritchett 61, Hakana 58. Peacock now gets his top 6 time, 54 points, negative 16. So what are you going to do? Rodin, Kasparaitis with a really weird 47-point season, which is not like him at all. Porter Martone has a 76 overall, still puts up 26 points, all right. And the rest of the team you see here. Landon Dupont just 20 points and a plus 6 from the now 82 overall. I don't know why. Oh, the game didn't give him power play time. That's why. Things would have been different if GM Data had a touch on what was happening here. And for the goaltending, my apologies here. Ackerman goes 38, 21, and 4, 6 shutouts, but just a .902 save percentage and 2.96 goals against average. This could be the first year that he doesn't see any hardware at the age of 34, but still a great season. And Menard goes 11, 5, and 3 with a shutout of his own, 903 save percentage, and 3.1 goals against average. Yzerman at 39 years of age among the league leaders for points. That's great to see. And for defensive scoring, Nicholas tied for the league lead. I would think that that's a first Norris. We'll see what happens when the awards come out. But for now, we're focused on the 2046 postseason. But the injury bug got us good in the playoffs as we took down the Penguins in 5 games in round 1 and then the Sabres in 6 games in round 2 back to the Eastern Conference Final, where we lost Ackerman, Douglas, and Pillman all to injury and fell in 7 games to the Lightning. We were just a shell of ourselves, and the Lightning went on to win the Stanley Cup in 5. Through those 18 games, check out Santiago Chung, who scored 21 points. All right, big boy, I see you. Nicholas had 20. Kasparaitis, point per game after his lackluster season. Same from Peacock. Okay. Yzerman, Sorovi both with 17. Downey, Hakana, and everybody else here for you for your enjoyment. And finally, for the goaltending, before going down due to injury, Ackerman was 8 and 3, 917 save percentage, and 2.5 goals against average. He was out a little earlier than just sometime in round 3, sometime in round 2, I think. Menard goes 3, 3, and 1 in 8 appearances, 919 save percentage, and 2.61 goals against average. And finally, for the awards, yes, Rafael Nicholas wins his first career Norris Trophy, 6 consecutive Norris Trophies to Islander defensemen. That's crazy stuff, and no other awards. So for the first time in Jesper Ackerman's 12-year NHL career, he does not win the Vezina and or Jennings, ending an 11-year streak. Oh my goodness. And we do finally see the retirement of Porter Martone here in the offseason at 39 years of age. Our 8th overall pick back in the 2025 draft. A lifer here on Long Island. 1,626 games played as an Islander. 474 goals, 863 assists for 1,337 points from the 8-time Stanley Cup champion and the 2039 Conn Smythe Trophy winner. In his career as well, if we scroll down just a few more things for one of our bigger legends of the series. He threw almost 3,000 hits in his career. Didn't like blocking shots, but good takeaway to giveaway ratio. 2,946 hits. That's crazy stuff. And in the postseason, with those 8 Stanley Cups came 356 games played, 104 goals, 158 assists, 262 points as a plus 114. In the regular season, a plus 631. The only negative season of his career coming in his final season as a full-time 4th liner. Wow, wow, wow. Porter Airlines Martone, I hope to see you as a Data 782 Hall of Fame nominee. Thank you for all of your service here at the Islanders. And we'll certainly move into our final 3 seasons with Martone as an advisor to the president of Hockey Ops. And in the offseason, needing to free up some cap space, we unfortunately asked Lane Peacock to waive his no-trade clause. We're going to move him back to the team that drafted him. Peacock was the 15th overall pick of the Senators back in 2033. We acquired him as a prospect, and he has spent 9 full NHL seasons with the Islanders. We were hoping he might someday be maybe a third-line center. He was that and more. 236 goals and 176 assists. Crazy goal scoring. $7.5 million. We just can't afford him. So Lane Peacock with Pillman's rights for a couple of prospects from the Senators. Oh, and of course, forgot to mention, 50 goals and 60 assists for 110 points in 169 postseason games. Crazy rate of scoring when it came to the playoffs for the 5-time Stanley Cup champion. Also goodbye in the offseason to Leonardo Menard, 6th round pick in 2033. What a goaltender he ended up being after spending parts of 4, 5, 6, 7, what? Parts of 7 seasons in the AHL. Finally got his chance in the NHL and saw even some starting opportunities in 2043-44. 102 appearances, 67, 20, and 8, 10 shutouts, 910 save percentage, 2.65 goals against average, and in the playoffs, 11, 6, and 2 with a 917 save percentage and 2.48 goals against average, as he was a 2-time Stanley Cup champion, shared the Jennings in 2044 as well. Menard, we love you, man. I wish we could hang on to a guy like him, but Olas is the future, 79-22, medium elite. He will be our backup next year. All right, cross those fingers for year number 23. Cole Yzerman at 40 years of age, is still on this top line as an 85 overall, with Downey at an 88. He squeezed us for every penny we had with a big extension in the offseason. 8 by 15.75. He's also 2046 in franchise mode, but a huge contract for him. And Chung there on the top line at an 86. Chung, Yzerman, Sorovi, all on expiring deals. Another tough offseason ahead for President of Hockey Ops data. On the second line, we're going to try Pritchett, Kasparaitis, and Sorovi. Overall-wise, not impressive, but Pritchett just scored 30-plus goals. We know what Kasparaitis can do. He is 34 and an 83 overall now, though. And Sorovi also 34 down to an 84. But the good news is, with players regressing and taking less money and retiring, that allows more money in free agency. That's where we signed this guy, Landon Scatchard. He's just coming off of a Stanley Cup with the Lightning last year. 4 years at $5.35 million. He's been a 50, 60-point guy, so let's try him in the top 9, middle 6, whatever else it might be. Playing third-line center is Edward Eichel in his second year, and Matthias Rodin, who was our first-round pick again back in 2040. Fourth line, Steven Versteeg. All right. Yes, we got him from the Senators. That's true. Radoslav Hrdal from the Oilers there, and we know Buguyet very well. On defense, Douglas Nicholas, King Korobov. King will try second pair time for the first time in his career now, as Gail Chow, who's from the Hurricanes, will play third pair with our captain, 37-year-old Landon Zupon, 80 overall, top 60 potential. Goaltending, of course, Ackerman, now at 34, he's at an 85, backed up by Ludwig Olas, the future of the crease, you would think, at an 82. Here we have it, 2046-47. We are certainly asking a lot of this aging core, but if there's any team that can do it, it's this one. And by the way, with Porter Martone retiring, I decided to give his alternate captaincy to Jordan Downey, who we've just made a huge commitment to in the offseason. Yes, there's other great players who have been here for longer, but Downey's been here for a few years now, and again, that huge offseason commitment, let's give him an A. Woo, the retirement home gets it done in year number 23, finishing second in the NHL to the reigning Cup champion Lightning, who had 61 wins. But we still had a very impressive 53-21-8 record to go along with a 17.1% power play and 87.3 PK. Check out the scoring this season. Rafael Nicholas leading the team, a defenseman doing so. 9 goals and 75 assists, 84 points in 82 games, a plus 44, career high from him. The former 4th overall pick. We committed to him. We traded a lot to get that pick, and I think it's paid off over the last few seasons. Hopefully back-to-back Norris trophies for him as well. Santiago Chung leading the forwards in points, 16 goals and 65 assists, 81 points from Detective Santiago. Cole Yzerman, 40 years old, still puts up 37 goals and 79 points at an 85 overall. Downey's 74, buddy. We're paying you $15.75 million. We need a little bit more. Kasparaitis, 63, good at 34. Sorovi, 55 points, also at 35 now. Scatchard's first season, he puts up 51. Pritchett, we're giving him big chances here. Another guy, we're paying $6.65 million to, 48 points. I digress. I can't break it down too much. This video is already so long. Dupont with just 8 assists and a -3. Are you kidding me? He's playing 16 minutes per night. How is he only putting up 8 assists? And he had some power play time too, even. Ackerman goes 39, 17, and 6 with 6 shutouts, a .922 save percentage, and 2.49 goals against average. Every season has his legend grow greater. And Olas went 14, 4, and 2 with 2 shutouts, .920 save percentage, 2.4 goals against. What a backup season from the rookie. Oh my goodness, what a year. So many things to be excited about. A few question marks, but in what might be Yzerman's last season, who knows about guys like Sorovi and Dupont even. Let's see the 2047 postseason. But in round 1, for the first time in 12 years, we don't make it out of the first round, as Lane Peacock and the Senators take us down in 5 games before going on to win the Stanley Cup themselves. They beat us in 5, the Pens in 5, reigning Cup champion Lightning in 7, and then Utah in 5. So Senators were the team of destiny. Sadly, we had to face them in round 1. 7 points in 5 games from both Chung and Nicholas. Downey had 5 points. After that, not a lot of production. Yzerman just 2 points. Sorovi just 2 points. Kasparaitis 1 assist, stuff like that. And Ackerman went 1-4 with an .881 save percentage and 3.82 goals against average. Not the greatest goaltending of his career, but also not a lot of goal scoring, as you know, we had Chung with 4 goals in 5 games and no one else had more than 2. And looking at the awards now, yes, another James Norris Trophy from Rafael Nicholas, back-to-back for Nicholas, and 7 consecutive James Norris Trophies to an Islanders defenseman. Do we see? Yes, we do. Vezina and Jennings to Akerman. After Akerman lost in 44, 45, 46, he's back in 47. Tying him now with Ken Dryden for the 3rd most Vezina trophies in NHL history with his 5th, and then Jennings, it's his 1,000,000th, so we'll look at that at the recap at the end of the episode. And that's it for the awards. And in the 2047 offseason, after 19 NHL seasons, our captain, Landon Dupont, calls it a career. 1,537 games played, all as an Islander, as our first overall pick in 2027. 124 goals, 916 assists, 1,040 points as a defenseman, who retires as an 8-time Stanley Cup champion and a 7-time James Norris winner. Tying him for the 2nd most in NHL history with Nick Lidstrom and Doug Harvey, just 1 behind Bobby Orr. He won 5 consecutively as well. Landon Dupont, what a career from him. A career high of, is it that 81-point season? Yes, it was. 81 points. A plus 791 as well, by the way. After an 8-point season in 82 games, he was ready to say, I've had enough. I'm tired now. 38 years of age. He has played over 37,300 minutes. The poor guy is tired, as he threw 1,238 hits, blocking over 2,000 shots. And in the postseason, as we saw to go along with those 8 Stanley Cups, 317 games played, 34 goals, 164 assists, and 198 points as a plus 136. Serving as our captain after Bo Horvat left, I believe it was 9 or 10 seasons. We'll see in the final recap. Landon Dupont, thank you so very much for everything. What a trade that was back in 2027. Made that swap that got us to 3rd, then got us to 1st. Then the deal of Noah Dobson moving out, the Jiricek coming in, the 1st moving in, the 3rd pick going out, the rivalry that it created with Winnipeg. What a moment that was. Landon Dupont, thanks for everything, and enjoy your Hall of Fame retirement. Also a sad goodbye in the offseason to the Estonian Eagle, Oleg Korobov. We had to move on from him, making $7 million, now down to an 81 overall. Cap constraints, we couldn't hang on to him any longer, unfortunately. The former 3rd-round pick back in 2031 spent 14 years in the organization, 2 years in the AHL, and then 12 years in the NHL, playing 953 games as an Islander. 71 goals and 235 points is a plus 364. In the playoffs, 53 points and a plus 89 in 209 postseason games, on his way to 5 Stanley Cup championships. Oleg, thank you for everything and good luck in Chicago. And also in the offseason, our head coach retired, so that means to begin year number 24, Bo Top 50 Horvat is now officially head coach of the New York Islanders. After all his years with us as a player, he's been with the organization ever since he retired. Bo Horvat has worked his way up the ranks to be head coach now at 54 years of age. And on his staff, of course, Matty Barzal as one of his assistant coaches. What a crazy story. Year number 24, the penultimate season here on Long Island, 2047-48. Here we go. 41-year-old Cole Yzerman now wears the C on his chest, with Landon Dupont having retired in the offseason. 86 overall, still trying to break all kinds of records. Could this be the last season for him? We'll see for Cole Yzerman. On the first line with Downey and Chung, who signed an extension in the offseason. He got paid after that $4 million contract. I'm getting paid $12.65. The first line will have a +3. At the second line, Pritchett, Kasparaitis, and this new guy, Steven Suter. We picked him up as a free agent. He previously scored 31 goals last season, so crossing our fingers for him. 5 by 8.5 for the free agent signing. Third line, Scatchard, Eichel, and Sorovi now down to an 83 overall at 35 years of age. He'll play third line minutes. And fourth line, Steven Versteeg, first round pick of the Senators. Yes, we saw him, Bruyette and Rodin. On defense, now with no Dupont for the first time in a very long time. Ken Douglas, now with an A on his chest as well. He slots into the alternate captaincy alongside Rafael Nicholas at a 91 overall. Second pair, this guy Ethan Rourke with Riley King. And third pair, Gail Chow with Laurent Boisclair. Goaltending, it's Jesper Akerman at 35 years of age, up to an 89 overall. He cannot be stopped. Backed up now by Ludwig Olas, who's an 87 himself. So we know we're going to roll with Akerman until the day he retires, but Olas ready to take over as soon as Akerman does. That's a fantastic way to set ourselves up for the future. future. And speaking of the future, we're crossing our fingers for another strong season, as we haven't made the Stanley Cup final now for 3 consecutive years. That only happened in years 1, 2, and 3 of this franchise mode. We've never not made the Stanley Cup final in 4 consecutive years. So 2047-48, year number 24, here we go. Year number 24 saw another top 5 finish in the NHL as the Islanders finished 5th in the league with 102 points and a record of 46, 26, and 10. A power play percentage of 14.3. That's the lowest we've had through 24 seasons by, I think, 0.1%. And a penalty kill of 88.8%. Regular season scoring wasn't anything too crazy. We did have 3 30-plus goal scorers. Rafael Nicholas led the way with 81 points in 82 games. Love to see that. Cole Eiserman at 41 years of age, 34 goals and 70 points. Coming to see the career totals from him. Downey 70, Chung 63, Kasparidis 30 goals, 59 points from now 35-year-old, 83 overall. Good to see. Pritchett, Suter, Sorovi, Scatchard, and everyone else down the list here. We have major injury to Riley King, broken rib throughout the season, yes. Goaltending, Ackerman went 37, 22, and 7, 2 shutouts, a 907 save percentage, and 2.93 goals against average. Still solid starter numbers for sure, but I believe it might be the second worst statistical season he's had, which is really saying something. Olas in a backup role, 9, 5, and 3, 1 shutout, 937 save percentage, 1.89 goals against average. So Ludwig ready to take over very soon. 81 points from Rafael Nicholas should also solidify yet another Norris Trophy headed into the 2048 postseason, wherein we'll be trying to avoid, as I said earlier, what would be the first 4th consecutive Stanley Cup final miss through our history with the Islanders. And that unfortunately does come to pass, as in the 2048 postseason, we make it back to the Eastern Conference Final. That's great. Taking down the Caps in 5 and sweeping the Pens in round 2. Then we fall in 6 to the eventual Stanley Cup champion Lightning, who then beat out Korobov and the Blackhawks. So after winning 4 consecutive Stanley Cups, that now makes it the first time in our time with the Islanders that we don't make the Cup final in 4 consecutive years. But we've lost to the team that has gone to the Cup final for 4 straight years, and to the eventual Stanley Cup champion 3 years in a row now. So hey, I guess it's a bit of a silver lining. Cole Eiserman scores 16 points in 15 games. How does this guy do it? I wonder if at 41, you'd think the game makes him retire. I've been crossing my fingers every offseason and he's not retiring, so we'll see after this one. He was tied with Scatchard for the team lead in points with 16 and 15. Chung 15, Downey, Kasparidis, Nicholas all had 14. The point production was there. These were tight games, unfortunately. And in the goaltending, Ackerman went 10, 5, and 0 with 1 shutout, a 928 save percentage, and 2.29 goals against average. Vintage Ackerman, but sadly just not enough to beat the Cup champion Lightning, who also eliminated us the last time we were in the Eastern Conference Final just 2 years ago. And finally, in the awards, yes, Rafael Nicholas, a 3rd consecutive Norris Trophy, and now an 8th consecutive Norris Trophy won by an Islanders defenseman. Any other awards? No, nothing for the goaltending, nothing. So for just the 2nd time in Ackerman's career, no Norris and or Vezina for him. And in the off-season, moving into year number 25, Cole Eiserman says, I'm not done yet. However, Peter Sorovi is calling it a career. At just 36 years of age, down to an 82 overall, he's ready to call it. Sorovi, the former 4th overall pick of the Capitals back in 2030. He spent parts of 6 seasons with the Caps before being an RFA in the offseason. The Capitals were playing hardball with him. We decided to acquire his rights, and after that, it was just, the story was written from there. A 60, 50-point guy, 83 points in his first season as an Isle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 seasons as an Islander, 1,402 games played in his career, scoring 1,065 points. So in his 12 seasons as an Islander, Sorovi played in 977 games, scoring 308 goals and 534 assists for 842 points. Also plus 271 in his career. I didn't know he was this physical as well. He threw 2,165 hits. Look at this guy, the Slovakian wrecking ball. And in the postseason, 223 games played in his career, 69 goals, 124 assists, and 193 points. As an Islander, 213 games played, 66 goals, 120 assists for 186 points, on his way to achieving 5 Stanley Cup championships and claiming the 2044 Conn Smythe Trophy. Sorovi starting out as just a guy that we saw as an opportunity. We threw him on the second line and he became a huge piece for over a decade here on Long Island. Enjoy retirement. And I'm trying something crazy moving into year number 25. The Canadiens have the 3rd overall pick on the block. I'm going to move 3 of our top prospects. It's going to hurt us a little bit in the future that we won't be here for. Plus pick number 30. You're quite far off in value. Get a 3rd next year. Trade accepted. We had to do it because, let me show you this. The 1st overall pick was some guy, medium elite 79. The 2nd pick, a high top 4D, huge miss by the Flyers. And then look who's out here at number 1. The guy who Central Scouting had 1st overall. We don't know what his potential is or anything. Valery Burmistrov from Latvia. We're taking a huge risk not knowing what his potential is, but he's ranked 1st. He dropped to 3rd, a little Bo Callahan situation. He could be the future of this franchise. We traded 3 top prospects in our system for him, plus the couple of picks. Burmistrov, welcome! 80 overall, medium elite playmaker. We'll take that as the future. We don't have anyone at center. After Downey, Kasparaitis is getting older. Valery Burmistrov there's also Eichel in there. That's true, yes. So the guy who was ranked 1st drops to 3rd. We trade a lot of value to get it, and even though we'll only see him for 1 season, Burmistrov, hopefully the future of this Islanders team. We have reached the summit, year number 25, 2048-49. Here we go, starting off with 42-year-old Cole Yzerman, who is still here on the first line as an 84 overall. Where else could we play him but first line left wing? He'll play first line with, of course, Jordan Downey. And new acquisition in the offseason, Christian Beyer. We got him from free agency, 88 overall sniper, the 1st overall pick back in 2035 from Vegas. He's been a 70-ish point guy, so hopefully he can achieve a little bit more as a first liner on Long Island. No cups in his career. 3 years at $12.75 million. He'll be there on the first line as an 88. Second line, Pritchett, Kasparaitis, now at 36 years of age, and Chung, who's 34. Third line, Suter and Burmistrov, the guy who was ranked 1st overall, who dropped to 3. 2 teams passed on him, and the 3rd pick traded away the pick. Wanted to trade it, we acquired it. Valery Burmistrov, what's the secret about him? We don't know. But we're going to hope for a strong rookie season and hopefully set the table into the 2050s as the future of Long Island. Also, Edward Eichel on the 3rd line. Gavin McKenna, 40-year-old Gavin McKenna, the 2nd overall pick back in 2026. Spent almost his entire career with the San Jose Sharks. Over 1,700 games played, 0 Stanley Cups. Let's try and get one for 40-year-old Gavin McKenna here in 2048-49. Also, another guy that we've seen a lot in this franchise mode series, Warren Lee, the medium elite grinder who was drafted 3rd overall by the Devils in 2029. He won a cup in 2040, but we bring him in as a veteran. Rodin also there on the 4th line. Defensively now, Ken Douglas alongside 92 overall Raphael Nicholas with the +4. Rourke and King. Moïse, this new guy from free agency, and Boisclair on the 3rd pair. Goaltending-wise now, we see here Ludwig Olaus up to an 89 overall, and Ackerman down to an 82. So although we have more trust in Ackerman, Olaus did have crazy numbers last year, and we can't, unfortunately, unless I went in like every game and controlled it. So we're going to let Olaus start the season as the starter, and we'll see how he does and whether or not I need to turn off auto goalie rotate to allow Ackerman to get back in there more often. But let's see how things roll out into 2048-49, our 25th season here on Long Island. Let's end it off with a bang. And we will gladly take a 3rd place finish in year number 25 as we finish atop the Metropolitan Division once again with a 52-25-5 record, a power play percentage of 21.4, the highest we've seen from the AI, and penalty kill the lowest at 82.4. Raphael Nicholas sets a new career high in what should be yet another Norris season. 80 assists and 93 points in 82 games played from the defenseman. Christian Beyer in his first year as an Islander sets career high as well with 85 points. Awesome. Very good from the first liner here. Downey 80 points. Yzerman 76 points in 79 games for the 42 going on 43-year-old. Santiago Chung, the detective, with 64. Pritchett 62. Kasparaitis. Suter. Eichel. McKenna 35 points. Burmistrov rookie season 33 points in 73 games, playing 14-21 of ice time. Definitely respectable numbers from him. And the rest of the points for everybody else. Goaltending, Olaus goes 41-18-5 with 3 shutouts, a .912 save percentage, and 2.78 goals against average. While Ackerman, in a backup role, a fine 11-7 record with a .910 save percentage and 2.65 goals against average. I wonder who we trust moving into this final postseason, though. Olaus has yet to play an NHL postseason game, and Ackerman's numbers speak for themselves. So I'm going to probably keep a close tab on it. I'm still going to do calendar simming and all that, but I might keep a close tab on the goaltenders. Moving into our 23rd and final postseason here in year number 25, 2049 postseason. Here we go. But year number 25 ends in disappointing fashion as we bow out in round one for just the fifth time through 23 postseason appearances, a 5-game series against the Red Wings, who went on to lose in the Eastern Conference Final. Who else but the captain, 42-year-old Cole Yzerman, leading the way in points with 7 in those 5 games. Oh my goodness. Bayer, Downey, Rodin. Not a lot of goal scoring, really. Just, yeah, nothing was worth. -6 from Santiago Chung. Nothing seems to be working there against the Detroit Red Wings. Goaltending was, I don't know what the word would be for these two guys. Olas was a bit better in general, which gave him more starts, but he still went 1-2-1, 896 save percentage, 3.4 goals against. And Ackerman in his one start allowed 4 goals on 40 shots. It wasn't horrible. For the awards on the year, yes, Rafael Nicholas with a 4th consecutive James Norris Trophy and the 9th in a row by an Islanders defenseman. And aside from that, Lady Byng even. Oh, okay, the Lady Byng's Rafael Nicholas. That's just the second time, or maybe the third time? Yes, the third time that we've won the Lady Byng in this franchise mode series. So hey, we ended off with the Lady Byng to Rafael Nicholas and no other awards. So to end off year number 25, moving into the imaginary year number 26, will we see any retirements, or is Cole Yzerman wanting to come back at the age of 43 next year? Let's see the 2049 offseason, which will wrap up the franchise mode. Oh yes, actually, to end year number 25, the game doesn't show who actually retires, so we'll have to use a little bit of storytelling here. Let's say that Cole Yzerman retired at the age of 42, going on 43. There's the great screen that we love to see. Franchise mode now complete. Woo! At least now in NHL 25, it shows a little bit more, like, instead of just franchise mode complete, press OK. Oh, now we get an additional in the background franchise mode complete with the logo of your team. Still not enough, but hey. I don't know why it lets me go to like assign scout, but I can't go anywhere else. So I can't look at conversations or settings, but I can look at assign scout. I can press sim to draft and it does nothing. Interesting. Okay, so let's look at the final stats to wrap things up. But hold on a second. Whoa, hold on a second. Can I not even look at the record book? I can't even look at the record book. The only thing I would want to see at the end of a franchise mode, and I can't look at the record book. That means I'm going to just go out and go to a previous save file. What a joke! Okay, so now in this universe, the Buffalo Sabres won the Stanley Cup. Congrats to Buffalo. What a joke, EA. Never ceases to amaze us. So now we'll go ahead and start wrapping things up from this side of things, starting now with the player stats of players who are still here by the end of year number 25, as well as the franchise records, before the next timestamp brings us to the all-time franchise records through the entirety of the 25 years. So starting with the forwards, we'll start off, of course, with Cole Yzerman. Cole Goal Yzerman, first-round pick back in 2024, and the rest was history as he played in 24 NHL seasons with the Islanders, appearing in 1,943 games, scoring 1,028 goals, 1,073 assists, for a total of 2,101 points through those 24 seasons. At the age of 42, still able to be a 76-point player. He ends as a career plus 750 as well. So I want to see the goal scoring. Only a 60-goal scorer once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only a 6-time 50-plus goal scorer as well. For the assists, his most was 74 and 33-34. That was his big 129-point season. 400-plus point seasons in his career. Plus 750, as I mentioned, shooting at 14.4%. 1938 average ice time in his career. Through 1,804 hits, really. How about that? And in the postseason, 381 appearances over 23 postseason berths, 166 goals and 201 assists for 367 points. He was very up and down in the postseason, especially earlier on in the franchise mode. There were some years where he was just a ghost. Some people were ready to move on from him. Maybe not early. It was that first year, and then some subsequent years, like 1 assist in 6 games in 2033. When those were the days when he was asking for $15 million as an extension. That left a bit of a sour taste in many mouths that kept him from getting alternate captaincy right away, but he ends up eventually being our captain after Landon Dupont retired, and he goes out as an 8-time Stanley Cup champion, 3-time Conn Smythe Trophy winner, tying Patrick Waugh for the NHL record, Hart Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, Maurice Richard, and a Lady Byng. What didn't Cole Eiserman achieve in his NHL career? One of the greatest to ever be in channel history. Perhaps the MVP of this franchise mode series. I'll leave it up to you in the comments. Data782 Hall of Fame nominee lock, and I would think a first ballot Hall of Famer. Cole Eiserman, thank you for everything. He could have retired a long time ago and still been as hailed, but he went, into his age 38, 39, 40, 41, 42 season. He just kept on going. The longevity was incredible. So let's start wrapping things up from there. For everybody else, still a lot to say, but not as much as Cole Eiserman. Christian Beyer, 1 season with us. He would have been signed on for a few more years, so we would have had a couple more seasons to play on Long Island. Jordan Downey was an interesting one. That trade where we acquired him from the Anaheim Ducks for our high elite goalie prospect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons as an Islander. Never quite hit those 100-plus point numbers that we saw from Bo Horvat, Macklin Celebrini. So would he have been the long-term first-line center? He's already done a lot of seasons, but would he have done it all the way to the end of his career? I don't know, but he did score 542 points in 568 games as an Islander. He ends this franchise mode as a 2-time Stanley Cup champion and still signed on for many more years. So whether or not he was a first-line center or we ask him to waive the trade clause or whatever, he would have been in that top 6 for a few more years to come. Would Burmistrov have taken it over? I don't know. But Jordan Downey was a needed piece for us in that top 6, and he did the job. Next up, Detective Santiago Chung, another great story in this franchise mode series, who would have played a couple more seasons had the series not ended. Now the 25 years come to an end. A second-round pick in 2032, drafted 61st overall, 979 games played as an Islander, 262 goals, 543 assists, and a total of 805 points over parts of 13 seasons in the NHL. In the postseason, 149 points in 196 games, on his way to being a 5-time Stanley Cup champion. Congrats, Santiago. Next up, Bryce Pritchett, who I acquired kind of as a toss-in in a trade with Edmonton in one offseason, just trying to dump players and make money work and all that. He ended up being a solid piece for us, 18th overall pick of the Oilers as a first rounder. He ended up playing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 NHL seasons with us. 571 games played, 346 points. Middle 6 guy who eventually saw top 6 minutes. Hey, Bryce Pritchett, thanks for everything, buddy. Dmitry Kasparaitis now, a first-round pick of the Senators back in 2030. We acquired him as a prospect, hoping he could be a third-line center for us, never thinking he would have the goal-scoring prowess that he did to eventually become our full-time second-line center. 1,226 games played as an Islander, 414 goals, 520 assists for 934 points at the age of 37, with still a couple more years to go, you would think. 15 seasons as an Islander, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-time 30-plus goal scorer. Wow. In the postseason, Kasparaitis scored 84 goals and 189 points through 237 postseason games. Once again, a 5-time Stanley Cup champion. Thank you, Dimitri. Steven Suter, we had him for a couple seasons, signing him as a free agent, 2 years as an Isle, both solid years. Thank you, Steven. Edward Eichel, a prospect that we got from the Predators at one point. 4 seasons in the NHL. He would have been probably a long-term third-line guy. Gavin McKenna, couldn't get him in that cup in his probably last season. Sorry, Gavin. Burmistrov would be the future of this team. That's what I like as well. It's not just, okay, it's year 25, let's trade all the picks, let's just cheese everything. No, this team is still probably going to go through a rebuild soon, but set up for the future with a guy like Burmistrov heading the way into the 2050s. Warren Lee, was nice to give him a chance as well. This guy, Matthias Rodin, not Data782 Hall of Fame nominee Mats Rodin from the Sharks series on NHL 23, but Matthias Rodin, first-round pick in 2040, who ended up being a guy who played 5 seasons with us, 166 points from him. Yep, better at the start than at the end, down to an 80 overall, but okay. Jacques Brouillette never quite worked out either, unfortunately. Then moving over to the defense now. Of course, Rafael Nicholas made that big trade to acquire the 4th overall pick in the 2040 draft, and I'm glad we did. Nicholas up to a 92 overall now, 529 points in 651 games in his career so far, with many more Norris trophies to come, you would think. There's not a lot of high-scoring defensemen in the league. He's winning the Norris Trophy with 20 more points than anybody else, so I would bet there's still like 5 more consecutive Norris Trophies to come in his career were we to continue simulating, were we to be able to continue simulating. 104 points in 118 postseason games, and of course, like we've been saying for a lot of people, and at the age of 27, a 3-time Stanley Cup champion, 4-time Norris Trophy winner, and even the Lady Byng to boot. Next up, Riley King, who was drafted in the 3rd round in 2040, ended up being a solid defensive defenseman for many years. 594 games played, 121 points as an Isle. Congrats to Riley King, 3-time Stanley Cup champion. Ken Douglas, who now at the age of 34, alternate captain. We enjoyed having him still in our time as GM. 2nd round pick in 2033. In 15 seasons as an Islander, 1,215 games played, 58 goals, 253 points, a plus 512, and in the postseason, 41 points in 235 games to now end off the series as a 5-time Stanley Cup champion. These other guys, we didn't have as much committed to these guys, so I won't look as much. Rourke, Boisclair, blah, blah, blah. And for the goaltending, so Ludwig Oles, we'll look at him quickly. 2nd round pick in 2042. That was a manual pick because the AI was never drafting goalies. I took a chance on him, and it ended up really working out, thankfully. A few years as backup, actually, well, no, 2 years as backup, and now 1 season as starter, 64, 27, and 10. Good numbers, and definitely the future of the crease here on Long Island, as he was alongside a legend, Jesper Akerman, who ends the franchise mode series at 37 years of age, still had a little bit left in the tank to give. The former 6th round pick in 2030 goes out as perhaps the greatest goaltender in our franchise mode history here on the channel. So consistent in both the regular season and the postseason, and for the awards that he has won. Let's break it down for Jesper Akerman, who ends with a record of 561 wins, 207 losses, 47 overtime or shootout losses, 71 shutouts, a .914 save percentage, and 2.53 goals against average over the course of 849 games appeared in, over 15 NHL seasons. In the postseason, just as good, 134 wins, 60 losses, 15 overtime losses, 20 shutouts, a .919 save percentage, 2.45 goals against average in 212 appearances, as he integrally contributed to 5 Stanley Cup championships to go along with his 5 Vezina trophies and an NHL record 11, twice as many as Patty Waugh, twice as many as Martin Brodeur, 11 Jennings trophies. Jesper Akerman, perhaps he's the MVP of the series. It's too bad we only had, I think, like 4 or 5 seasons with him in the GM era, and then a lot of his success came in the last 10 years in the President of Hockey Ops era, but still, a first ballot Hall of Famer for the Data 72 Hall of Fame, you would have to think. Jesper Akerman, take a bow. And a special shout out to 2 guys on our coaching staff, starting with head coach Bo Horvat, who has now been with the organization for close to 3 decades, who served as its captain, now its head coach, all 8 Stanley Cup rings on his hands. Bo, top 50 Horvat, Data 72 Hall of Famer for sure, but there's so many to say from this. That's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough vote for all of you. And also, of course, Matty Barzal won the Calder Trophy, like 35 years ago, 52-year-old, still on the coaching staff. Thank you for everything. And finally now, the all-time league and franchise records. Cole Eiserman has about everything. Most seasons played, 24. Games played, 1,943. Goals, 1,028. Assists, 1,073. Points, 2,101. Penalty minutes at the end of the series, Douglas had 887, but Mick Vukoda had 1,879, so he hangs on to that record. Jesper Akerman, winningest goalie in franchise history with 561 wins. Most shutouts as well with 71. Single season records, Jesper Akerman, most wins by a goaltender at 54 in 2042, and most shutouts by a goaltender in franchise history in 2044 with 11. No other franchise records were broken, though. Ones of Bossy and Trottier are still held. Very cool to see. And then for rookie records, Igor Loktionov, of course, most shutouts by a rookie goaltender with 8 in 2032 as he won the Calder and the Vezina that year. And Ludwig Oles with most wins by a rookie goalie in a season with 41. All right. And finally, single game records. No, none of those were broken, as all those records are still held from before we came in. League records now. So Cole Eiserman ends tied with Gavin McKenna. I would assume they both retired with the most games played in NHL history at 1,943. We kept injuries on and everything, but they just, they didn't get really injured, especially Cole Eiserman, always playing 79 to 82 games. You would want to have a bit more realism, but you also don't want to stop every 5 seconds for injuries. They were on, I'm just saying this is still glitch for the last how many ever years. Most goals in NHL history, Cole Eiserman joins Connor Bedard and Austin Matthews as the only players to have 1,000 goals or more in the National Hockey League. He ends 3rd in league history as well, behind Matthews and Bedard. What an incredible achievement that is. And for most points in NHL history, I don't know if there's more than 5, but Yzerman joins Gretzky, McDavid, Matthews, and Draisaitl in the 2,000-plus points club, finishing 4th in NHL history with 2,101 points behind Gretzky, McDavid, and Matthews. Most assists, nobody there. Most wins... this is glitched as well, yes, because Ackerman has 561 wins, so he should be 4th all-time behind Brodeur, Fleury, and Vasilevsky, having passed Patrick Roy. So I don't know what else is glitched, but at least I can catch that one myself. Most shutouts, he had, I think, 71, so not quite in the top 5. 50-goal seasons, no. Bedard with 13 in his career, and 100-point seasons. No, Gretzky and McDavid both with 15 of those. So those are career league records. Single-season league records. No, hard to break anything from Gretzky and Lemieux. Ackerman, most wins by a goalie, 54 in 2042. There's an NHL record, most wins in a single season. There you go. And ahead by 3 wins as well. Jesper Ackerman with a league record to end off this series. Awesome. And rookie records, I bet there has to be 1 or 2 in here. Matty Barzal, who had 63 assists in his rookie season. He did it before we came in, but just to throw it out there for him in league history. And for most wins by a rookie goalie, Ludwig Olas with the 3rd most all-time with 41, and Igor Lokhtianov tied for the 4th most all-time with Ken Dryden with 39. So that does it for the player stats and franchise records. Now I'll throw it over to myself in post-production to look at the final all-time franchise records and awards. So we come now finally to my favorite part of the franchise mode, reviewing everything that we achieved through our 25-year series from 2024 to 2049. Let's start by reviewing the captains who we had through our franchise mode series, starting with Anders Lee, who was our captain in year number 1 in 2024-25. After Anders Lee, Brock Nelson took over from 2025 to 2028. After him, Bo Top 50 Horvat from 2028 to 2034. After Bo retired, the one who came to Long Island to play with Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, he stuck around. He was supposed to be like a 4-year contract kind of guy. We weren't sure what was going to happen with him. He had the best years of his career, stuck around until he retired. I believe it was 2.5 seasons as captain. I think we started 2034 without one, but in the end, 2034 to 2036, Brock Besser had the C on his jersey. After that, Landon Dupont took over. After 36-37 was 3 alternates. From 2037 to 2047, homegrown talent Landon Dupont wore the C. Before finally, Cole Yzerman, I believe his age 39, no, it was age 40, 41, and 42 seasons. Is that what it was? From 2047 to 2049, Cole Yzerman was still around and he wore the C on his chest for very good reason. And I love how in this series we had so many players who continued to encapsulate those same emotions and sentiments around Long Island that we had when we took over this team originally. The episode 0 introduction spoke about the community and the locker room. Guys like Palmieri, Pollock, Pellick, Nelson, Lee, Bailey, so on and so forth. And look how that was reflected in our 25 years. Dupont, Yzerman, then even guys like Martone, Kasparaitis, Douglas, guys who came to Long Island and then stayed on Long Island. Brock Besser, Peter Sarovi, so many great storylines. I'm glad that we stayed true to the challenge here on Long Island. After our captains, we moved to the Conn Smythe winners. Of course, we won 8 Stanley Cups in 25 years, 4 as GM, 4 as president of Hockey Ops. Our first 4 starting in 2029. Evgeny Malkin won the Conn Smythe for our first Stanley Cup of this franchise mode series. Brock Besser then won the next 2 in 2032 and 34, before Porter Airlines Martone won it in 2039. Then we went on the 4-peat run as president of Hockey Ops. Cole Yzerman won 3 in a row, becoming the first player in NHL history to do so, plus tying Patrick Roy's record for most Conn Smythes in NHL history. Some could argue that he should have won it in 2044 as well, but then Peter Sarovi broke his streak by winning that 8th and final Conn Smythe. Speaking of awards, we'll now move on to the next 3 slides, starting off with the Calder Trophy. Starting off with the Calder Trophy, which was only won once through our 25 years. It was Igor Lokhtianov in 2033 who won the Vezina and the Calder in his rookie season. Oh my goodness, what a story he was. The Selke, also only one of those through 25 years, as Macklin Celebrini won it in 2036. We won 3 Lady Bings through our franchise mode. Cole Yzerman in 2035, Celebrini in 42, and then Raphael Nicholas in 2049. After that, the bigger awards now. Only 2 Rockets for all the crazy goal scoring. scoring, and the 1,000+ goals from Cole Yzerman. Only 2 Rocket Richards in this entire 25-year series. Bo top 50 Horvat in 2034 and Cole Goal Yzerman in 2041. Over 1,000 goals, one of the greatest goal scorers in NHL history. Only 3 or 4 we said to score 1,000 goals, only 1 Rocket. Come on now. Art Ross won 3 of those, Cole Yzerman in 2034 and Celebrini back-to-back in 40 and 41. Same thing for the Ted Lindsay, Yzerman in 34 and Celebrini back-to-back in 40 and 41. And finally, the Hart Trophy, Cole Yzerman won 1, again, only 1, coming in 2034, and Macklin Celebrini won 3 of his own as an Islander in 2035, and then back-to-back in 40 and 41. What a year in 2033-34. Horvat the Rocket, Yzerman the Art Ross, Ted Lindsay, and Hart. And then now here are the ones that we're most proud of for the awards. Starting off with the Norris Trophy, winning 12 of those in a 15-year span between 3 defensemen. Zupone started off in 2035, then Jiricek the next year in 2036, Zupone again in 2038, then in 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. Then Rafael Nicholas picked up where he left off, winning it in 2046, 47, 48, and 49, with, I would think, many more to come as he was not even 30 years old at the end of the series. So 12 Norris trophies. I can't remember the last time we saw numbers like that. And now we move to the goaltenders. Igor Loktionov started off with our first Vezina of the series coming in 2033. And after that, 5 Vezinas from Jesper Akerman, 20, and look at the span of them as well. It's not like it was, okay, a big run of 5 and 6 years. No, he won those 5 Vezinas over a span of 13 years in 2035, 39, 40, 43, and 47. Oh my goodness. And finally, the Jennings trophies. Oh boy, it was hard for me to try and type these out because Akerman was a part of 11 out of 12 of them. So I put him at the bottom. First off, who did he share them with? So Loktionov shared it with Augustine, Trey Emperor Augustine in 2033. After that, it was always Akerman sharing it with whoever else won. So Augustine in 35, 36, 37 shared it with Akerman. Then Palin 38, Niemi 42, Menard 44, always sharing it. And Akerman, his 11 wins, 4 in a row coming from 35 to 38, 6 in a row coming from 40 to 45, and then again in 47. So when we think about our greatest goaltenders in channel history, of course, guys like Data 72 Hall of Famer Peyton Hollywood Wilm come to mind. Wilm had 618 wins, more than Akerman, but over the course of an entire career, he retired, I think, over the age of 40. And even in his career, 5 Vezinas, 7 Jennings, 7 rings. Akerman, 8 rings, 11 Jennings, tied with the Vezinas, but more shutouts, not that many less wins in like 200 less games played. Would it be crazy to call him our greatest goaltender in channel history? That'll be up to all of you in the comments to let me know. From the awards, we can now go and look at the team stats from 2024 to 2049. 15 years as GM, 10 years as president of Hockey Ops. Let's break it down, starting with our years as general manager. A total regular season record of 798, 354, and 78, giving us a winning percentage of 64.88. Our average record was 53, 24, and 5. Average power play at 20.93%. Average penalty kill at 83.73%. 10 Metropolitan Division titles in those 15 years, 8 Eastern Conference titles, 6 President's Trophies, 13 postseason berths out of those 15 years. We missed years 1 and 2, then made the postseason 13 years in a row, going 136 and 90 in those postseasons, making 7 Stanley Cup finals and winning 4 Stanley Cups. So we were 4 for 7 when making the Stanley Cup final in our 15 years as general manager. And then in our next 10 seasons as president of Hockey Ops, things very different where you just simulate it all. No wonky or slow sims or anything, just pure calendar simulation, which helped out the numbers as we can see. Regular season record of 556, 264, a slightly higher winning percentage at 67.8, average record of 56, 20, and 6. Average power play, the AI doesn't really know how to use it as well, 17.77%, but average penalty kill higher at 86.19%. 9 out of 10 years Metro Division titles, 6 out of 10 Eastern Conference, 5 out of 10 President's Trophies, and a postseason record of 102 and 55 when making the playoffs 10 out of 10 years, and 4 for 4 when making it to the Stanley Cup final, including the achievement of the four-peat, which was done for just the 3rd time in NHL history, and the 2nd time in franchise history, making the Islanders the only team to win 4 in a row twice. So now the total team stats altogether, 15 years of GM, 10 years of president of hockey ops, 25 seasons, saw a total regular season record of 1,354 wins, 554 losses, 142 overtime or shootout losses, giving a total winning percentage of 66.05, an average record of 54, 22, and 6, an average power play of 19.66%, an average penalty kill of 84.71%. 19 out of 25 years saw us win the Metropolitan Division, and our best streak was to do so 9 times consecutively. 14 Eastern Conference titles, doing so consecutively 6 times, twice over. President's Trophy, we won 11 of those through 25 years, winning 5 in a row twice. 23 for 25 in the postseason. Of course, like I said, missing year 1 and 2, but then 23 in a row after that. In the postseason, we were 238 and 145 for a total winning percentage of 62.14, making the Stanley Cup final 11 times in those 23 postseason appearances, best being 4 consecutively when we had the four-peat, and 8 Stanley Cups. Again, the four-peat being the most we did consecutively. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, all the final stats for our franchise mode series. Here's one last look at my Excel sheet if you prefer to look at stats kind of this way. All of our awards on the right side, all of our postseason runs here in the middle, all of our regular seasons in the blue for the first 15 years as GM, and the last 10 years president of hockey ops, highlighting different numbers and looking at the different series, number of rounds, different opponents we faced and how many games as well. It certainly is a labor of love, and that's exactly how I feel about it. So I thank you all for enjoying the journey with me, whether you just watched a couple of episodes, just the big wrap-up finale, or if you were watching episode in, episode out, leaving novel comments on suggestions of what to do. All of you AGMs make the series what they are. I think this was something like our 15th full NHL franchise mode series since NHL 18, and we're not done yet. NHL 26 is around the corner. So please, as we end off this finale episode, let me know a lot of things in the comments. What were your favorite moments? Who are your Data 72 Hall of Fame nominees, honorable mentions? What team do you want to see next for our first franchise mode NHL 26? The most suggested teams, the most liked comments will go into the poll, and the winner of that poll will be where we start the series in less than a month from now. On top of all of that, please do leave a like, consider subscribing if you enjoyed this content, franchise mode, be a pro, hockey legacy manager, MLB The Show, much more that is on the channel and is to come. Take a second to check it out if you haven't already. I'm sure that you'd enjoy it and be that much stronger of a community with you as a part of it. Join us in our Discord server where we're over 700 members, always talking franchise mode as well. And do consider becoming a channel member. A bunch of perks for you both on the YouTube channel and in the Discord server, including the ability to have your own created player in a future franchise mode series here in the channel. So scroll down, click join, read the description, check out if that would be something that you're interested in, and I'll end off the video there. 25 years here on the island. Who's on your Mount Rushmore? For me, I don't know, it might be Horvat, Besser, Ackerman. Who's on that last one? Dupont. It's really tough to say. So I'm looking forward to hearing all of your thoughts on the series that was 40 episodes later. Islanders fans, I hope that we made you proud. I'm looking forward to where we take our talents next to begin NHL 26.